What's up, Flyers fans? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis Ballinghoff. I will be your host today. Hockey season is fastly approaching, so I got a ton of different interviews packed for you. Riley Cote, Jordan Hall, Ben Debroekert, Jim Iacavone, Chris Maher. We got it jam-packed for you. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Please. And if you're not new here and you've been following for a while, continue to hit that like button. Helps me out a ton. I say we get right into our first interview with former Flyers enforcer and now the co-host of the Nasty Knuckles podcast, Riley Cote.
Riggs, what's up, buddy? What's going on?
Not much. What's happening, baller?
Can't complain. Getting ready for this Phillies playoff game tonight. A little excited.
Yeah, right? A lot of excitement around Philly in general.
Yeah, you ain't lying. The Eagles are good. Hopefully Flyers can get off to a hot start this year.
I don't know about a hot start, but they'll get off to a start. But yeah,
Right.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. I think all the fans and the city itself could use a little extra momentum. So I feel you.
What were your thoughts on the overall offseason? They let G go at the deadline. Oscar Lindblom's bought out. You don't really replace that offense. You bring in Tony D, should help out on the power play, and also bring in a little grit with Nick Delorier.
Yeah, you know what? I thought there was going to be a little more action, obviously, probably like most fans, at the very least, replacing G's points. I think when they first signed Tony D, we anticipated that it was probably meaning that Ellis is not going to play, and it's obviously trending that way. I don't see that happening. So, yes, it's an upgrade from last year, but it's kind of like a wash in the sense that, that's really how last year was kind of built, to have a back end similar to that. So, I love him as an offensive catalyst, but I also love that he is a emotional guy and is going to bring some energy as long as it's directed in the right fashion. But I think it's an upgrade. I love Nick Delorier. I mean, he's obviously meat and potatoes. He's a Philly guy. Bring some energy to help complement Torts' philosophy and coaching style. However, to your point on scoring goals, you miss G, you lose Oscar. Those goals aren't replaced. So at best, if the Flyers are 100% healthy, I still think they're going to struggle to score goals. And then as it's already trending, there's guys missing from the lineup, and it's hard to score as a collective unit when you're missing some of your go-to guys. So I'm not sure that the offseason was enough to push the ball ahead enough to be a playoff team. But that being said, you're just crossing your fingers the boys stay healthy and score as a collective, score as a unit. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be really challenging.
It's going to be real tough. I do think injuries are going to be the biggest key in all of this, because I feel like if Wade Allison could stay healthy, maybe he could take a jump. Owen Tippett, Frosty. John Tortorella said definitely won't have a captain for at least 15, 20 games, and they may go the whole season without a captain. I'm curious, have you ever played on a team without a captain, and what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I have been in a situation like this before where they didn't name a captain, but they named it before Christmas, not the full season. I see where Torts is going with it. There's obviously no one guy that screams like he's the obvious captain 100%, and anybody would dispute that. He's coming into a new environment, and he's laying out the groundwork for buy-in, and there is no rush for him to name that captain. So there's a little bit of a dangling of the carrot, if you will, there for whoever that so-called leader is to grab. So he's playing it patient, and it's strategic, but it's just obviously like there's no, again, like as I just said, there's no one guy that jumps out, so it's not an obvious thing for him to say, well, this is it. So I don't think there's a whole lot to examine there, and to throw a whole lot of stock into. I think it will present itself as the season goes on and who that guy is. To your point on staying healthy, like that is the catalyst to me that well, for all teams in every season, right? I mean, it's the teams that stay the healthiest have the best chance to succeed. So, you know, they need to stay healthy, and then whoever that leader is in that running needs to stay healthy, because if they don't, then, you know, it's probably not going to be them.
Yeah.
But I think all Torts wants to see is who is going to grab this ball and show that they're in a true leadership role, you know, and lead by example on and off the ice, and just be that guy. You know, it's going to be a challenging season, in my opinion, you know,
Yeah.
and leadership when things are going right is difficult enough as it is. But when things are going poorly, it's even more challenging to maintain that composure and to maintain that level of leadership. So I think, you know, the team's gone through a lot this last year, and I think the way he's playing this makes a lot of sense. But I don't think that it's anything that anybody should be like, well, why don't you name me captain? Like, for what? You know, where is that really going to get you right out of the gate? You know, I think playing it the way he is makes a lot of sense, and the captain will reveal itself. You say 15, 20 games. I think that's going to be pretty obvious then.
I thought it was really intriguing that Nick Foligno was on waivers, who was his captain in Columbus. I was curious if they were going to adventure in that realm, but probably for the best they didn't. Wayne Simmons was also on waivers, and I guess the Maple Leafs sent out an email to everyone's team. We'd like to trade this guy. Really don't want to send him to the AHL out of respect. Any thoughts on that? Do you think the Flyers should pursue that?
I mean, Simmer more than Foligno, and you know, and again, I don't know exactly where Foligno's at in his career. Obviously, if he's on waivers, he's, you know, in a similar situation where he's not producing as much as he needs to be. But, like, you know, going into this season, the way the Flyers are, you know, a guy like Simmer, if this is about bringing people back into the building and bringing some energy back into the building and creating this momentum around the team itself, I mean, Simmer would absolutely accept the fourth line fringe role, no question. I mean, in my opinion, coming back to Philly, you know, and I think as an organization, as a PR piece, you know, as just a facelift, bringing back a spirited guy like that, make some sense in my opinion. But, you know, they obviously just put McEwen on waivers, and he cleared waivers. So is it about that type of player that they don't need? Is Simmer just that far gone that he's not going to be that valuable for the team? You know, in a leadership role and a veteran role, just as a meat and potatoes glue guy role. I don't know. I'm just looking at the state of affairs with the Flyers, right? You know, we talked about, you know, you lose G, the face of your franchise, you don't replace him. You add a couple other elements, but they're not the faces of your franchise. Torts is now the face of the franchise outside of Gritty. But if you brought a guy like Simmer back, not that he's the face of your franchise, but everybody knows Simmer. Everyone knows what he's all about and what he represents. And he represents Philly and the Flyers, you know, soup to nuts. There's no question about it. That being said, is the Simmer experience, it could go very well. Or, you know, it could be like, well, Simmer's like, you know, really drops off, and then it's like, now we're you know, motherfucking Chuck, you know, for an attempt to bring some glue back into the locker room. So, but, you know, knowing Simmer, the guy is a gamer, man. He's still fighting how many times last year, you know, and he's, you know, 30 plus years old, and, you know, say on his way out. So to me, it couldn't hurt the chemistry. It couldn't hurt the direction of the team. In fact, if it's about putting, you know, people in the seats and generating that culture, he only adds to that. You know, you got Deloria, you got Torts, you know, McEwen's down the minors now, but you got D'Angelo, got some emotional energy. You know, a Simmer would be a nice compliment to that, but, you know, we're talking about scoring goals, and if he's getting thrown on waivers because of lack of production, again, is Deloria enough? And then, you know, they're just kind of moving past that. I don't know. But, I mean, to me, as a PR piece, like, you bring Simmer back, generate some hype. But at the end of the day, it's about winning games. Does he help the team win games? I'm not sure. You know, we were talking about scoring goals. You know, he's on his way out. He's not scoring his goals. But as far as the city energy, you know, I guess I just see things differently, you know, a little bit, you know, even like going back on the, you know, the Johnny Gaudreau thing, right? I mean, it's like, well, people argue either way. Yeah, there's no money, but might have been creative ways to create some money. And some people would argue, well, you know, this wasn't the season that you'd want to bring Johnny Gaudreau in because, you know, the Flyer, you know, maybe it's in 2 or 3 years, but then at that point, you know, he's past his prime, and that thing kind of disappears. But just as a PR piece, just to show the fans that you're trying to win, and you're trying to trend in the right way by adding a local guy to complement D'Angelo, a local guy that's put up 100+ points last year, that, you know what I mean, that would be a difference maker. You know, would they be a Stanley Cup contender? No, but it would bring people back into the building. It would bring an excitement around the team. And there's like this PR element. You bring a local guy, this guy that people know, that produces. You know, I don't want to get stuck on Johnny, but it was, you know, for me, it was more like a PR thing, and 100+ points to replace G's points and some. There was a lot there, and I get it. You know, I don't know the situation of the cap besides the fact they have no money, but to me, there could have been, you know, like Tampa and other teams have done it before. Like you make a deal, and then you figure out the rest, you know, like, but it was more really where I'm going with it is it was around the PR. It was around this, like, you know, like we're showing the fans, like we're making some moves to trend in the right way, to not be the last place in the league, and to set this team up for success in the future. You know, I see, you know, the PR piece being the same with Simmer, but just in a different way. You know, Simmer's respected. He's well known. But that being said, you know, it is what it is. But I thought when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, this could be a nice little pickup.
Yeah.
You know, but
I completely agree with you. I don't know how much he helps on the ice and winning games, but we keep hearing, you know, the locker room's got issues. I mean, Simmer sounds like, from an outsider, he would help with that. And as you say, the PR, as a fan, I think it would be pretty cool to see Simmons end it in Philly, where he was at his best in his career. But what would you say the Flyers' biggest strength and biggest weaknesses are?
ooh. A weakness is it's just scoring, in my opinion, right? I mean, I think like last year I would have said, well, like just like starting with the foundation of the structure and the culture of the team. But I think that is obviously going to shift here with Torts, and, you know, adding a couple pieces there. But scoring, to me, you know, it's tough enough to score in this league as it is, let alone when you're not
Yeah.
when you don't have a couple go-to scorers, right? So scoring to me is definitely the weakness. Strength, ooh.
It's tough, isn't
I'm
it?
not really sure what the strength is right now.
Yeah.
Maybe the direction that the culture is trending towards, at least coming back to what a Philly type team might look like. We still haven't quite seen that yet. In preseason, it's too early to tell. But you know, with Torts, obviously his philosophy, and then again the buy-in. You know, naturally, I think guys will start competing in a little more of a mindful fashion. I think adding Nick Delorier again adds an element of Philly. You know, you had that with McEwen, but this guy is, you know, very established, understands his role. He's here for 4 years. That will help trend that foundation and culture towards what Flyers fans are used to. But I mean, you look top to bottom, I'm not sure exactly where the strength is. I mean, it's hard to say. Well, you know, defensively, that's their strength. You know, goaltending, I mean, you know, is good. It's maybe, you know, it's above average, but it's only as good as the way the team plays in front of them.
Right.
So I don't know the answer to that. Maybe just like at least trending in the right way as far as building that Flyer-esque culture that we have not seen, but we will see, you know, starting tomorrow or Thursday.
I wanted to ask you about the goaltending. I'm curious what your expectations are for Carter Hart this year. In my eyes, there's two ifs, and they're two pretty big ifs. If the defense plays well in front of him, and if he stays healthy, I think he'll have a really good season. But I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, those are two of the main variables, right? I mean, staying healthy no matter who you are. I mean, in the pipes, D or forward. I mean, staying healthy is everything as far as being the top of your game, right? It's tough to really find your game when you're banged up all the time in and out of the lineup. So for sure that. Then the next phase is working outwards. I mean, to me, the better you are defensively, obviously you're giving up less grade A opportunities on the goaltender. So you just got to make basic saves at that point. So both of those points very valid, and probably the two variables that determine how Carter Hart plays this year. I do believe in Carter. You know, I coached this kid briefly in the minors, and there's not many kids that come out of junior hockey that are wired this way. Like he is a high level performer, you know. But that being said, every high level performer goes through adversity individually and as a collective, and I think you've seen glimpses of this the last few years. I'd like to think since the since the Flyers don't have that offensive firepower, that the philosophy needs to be take care of that home base and really, really emphasize playing in the defensive zone very soundly, therefore giving up those grade A opportunities, and then Carter can just make those basic saves. And then when he needs to make that spectacular save because there's a breakdown, he'll be able to make that. But you can't expect him to make that spectacular save all the time for giving up all these grade A opportunities, odd man rushes, and all this stuff. So I like to think that, like most fans could probably observe, that the offense isn't there. You have to even go above and beyond defensively and really take care of that D zone. Therefore, limiting those types of chances, and therefore helping him elevate his own personal game. So, yes, staying healthy. I mean, he's been on the shelf off and on the last couple of years. It's again hard to get that momentum and get in the swing of things when you're banged up, and then I'd like to think that the D zone will get cleaned up, and then that should be a very specific part of the game that the Flyers should be taking pride in my opinion. That will help limit the goals against. Obviously, it doesn't matter who's in net, but I think that will help build that confidence for Carter, and then help him elevate his game. But he is a very mature human. He's very in tune with his body and his level of performance and knows where he needs to be. But it's hard to fully evaluate his play on the last couple of years. You know, I thought he improved last year from the year before, but even last year was a fucking shit show, right? I mean, it's like, so I'd like to think that this year is going to be better for him.
I want to get a couple quick predictions out of you before I let you go. Who will lead the team in both goals and points this season?
Cam Atkinson. I'm going to say both on those.
Okay.
Yeah, and then actually, I'm gonna say him for points. I'm gonna say Farabee for goals. I do think TK is gonna have a breakout offensive year.
Yeah, me too.
And I actually think Hayes is gonna, as long as he can stay healthy. I mean, that's always the F, right? I think he's gonna have a nice offensive season. I'm not sure he's going to lead the team, but I don't know. I think Cam's got it. You know, he's played under Torts. He buzzes if he can stay healthy. He can produce, especially with the void in the offensive production here now. But I think Farabee, again, getting back and getting healthy. I know he's really close. Again, picking up where he left off. He was scoring some pretty nice goals, like goal scorer goals. And, the goals, they're not just like coincidences, like they're goal scorers goals. So if he can keep that up, he could put 30 up.
Do you have a pick for maybe a young guy who you think is going to break out?
Yeah, you mentioned Wade Allison. To me, this guy is just like itching to break out. I think he just hasn't had that opportunity to break out because of his injuries and the situation there. But I love his attitude, Philly guy. I like to think it's him, honestly. I think he has the ingredients. I think he's reflected on his past couple of seasons on how we talked on our pod there about him controlling his body a little more and being a little more in control, to maybe not put himself in situations to get hurt above and beyond the general wear and tear of the game. But skating, shooting, playing physical, getting in the game. I think he's a Torts kind of guy. And Torts rewards players that buy in and play a certain style. I think he fits that mold. Just about staying healthy for him.
Who do you think wins the cup this year?
Oh, I haven't really given a whole lot of thought. I don't think Colorado is built to repeat, but maybe. I don't know. Throw Tampa back in there.
That's what I'm thinking too. I think they got one more run in them.
Yeah, they just consistently have good teams, and they replenish what they lose every year with veterans. They add the right pieces. So I'll just start with those two teams since it's, they do have a strong core right out of the gate, but there's obviously many other teams that could fit that mold.
Not sure if this is the best question to end it on, but are the Flyers making the playoffs?
I don't think so. Even if they were absolutely healthy the whole year, it's going to be a dogfight, and just trending the way it has been for them. And injuries are inevitable. It's just a matter of how many and how many man games you lose out of these guys. It's a dogfight if they're healthy, but I don't think so. I don't think they're a playoff team.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me this week. Tell the viewers where you're headed this weekend.
I'm headed back to Jamaica, heading out Thursday, doing a psilocybin mushroom veteran retreat. And, I've been going back and forth to Jamaica doing this work. Extremely healing and profound healing work, and happy to be a part of it. So I'll keep you guys posted. I know we got to record a pre and post for our next week's guest that we're recording tomorrow. So looking forward to dropping that. But so doing some work down in Jamaica. It's legal down there, unregulated, so it makes this type of work a little bit easier to do. I would love to do it around here, but unfortunately the laws don't allow it. Until then, we'll be going back and forth.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Anytime. Thanks, Baller. Appreciate you.
Thank you to Riley for joining me today. I love hearing his insight because he played for a while. He coached a lot of these guys down in the AHL with the Phantom, so I really appreciate hearing his perspective. If you're not already following Nasty Knuckles, I'm not sure what you're doing, but check them out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all their socials, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. They got it all. Make sure you're following them. Now up, Jordan Hall, Flyers reporter and writer from NBC Sports, Philadelphia.
Joining me now from NBC, Jordan Hall. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Travis, I'm doing well. How are you?
Cannot complain. Phillies just got the W.
Yeah. Great catch by Castellanos. I mean, he's kind of changing his narrative here in Philadelphia. That was pretty fun.
Big time. It's crazy how quick the narrative can change after one big game, right?
No, that is the truth. Like, pro sports is such a what have you done for me now? I've never seen anything like it. One day you're the villain, the next day you're the hero. It really can flip.
Yeah, you're not lying. Vibes are high right now in Philly, but maybe not so much for the Flyers. I'm curious your overall thoughts on the offseason. Maybe we could start with the coaching hire, John Tortorella.
I like the hire with John Tortorella, and I'll be honest, I wasn't as super high on it when I was going through coaching candidates, and while the Flyers were going through their own process, I was looking towards some other guys. I started to buy into the whole Tortorella has a short shelf life. I don't know if his demanding style would totally mesh with the roster, but then I started to hear more things. I started doing my own research and really kind of dove into it. And I think he's the right guy right now for what the Flyers need in terms of accountability, direction, and really stabilizing. I think he's a guy that can help them stabilize. He's really been a guy that's rebuilt teams, going to teams that maybe don't have the sexiest name or the best situation from a roster, talent standpoint. So he's a guy that gets more out of less. And I think that's kind of what the Flyers have right now. They don't have a ton of talent. They definitely have a talent deficiency, but I think Tortorella is going to get them going in the right direction, and then they can start to improve their talent as they go.
I completely agree with you. When they first hired him, I really wasn't on board. I kind of wanted like a younger coach, more of an analytics guy.
Yeah.
But like you said, I kind of did some research. Scott Hartnell really liked him. Cam really liked him. A couple other former Flyers liked him. So I was like, all right, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe install this new culture that they're really getting on. What about some of the moves? They trade Claude Giroux at the deadline. They don't really replace his points. Oscar Lindblom's bought out. They bring in Tony DeAngelo and Nick Delorier. What did you make about all the moves there?
It was a quiet offseason, and I thought it was a major swing and miss when they didn't really go after Johnny Gaudreau, and I still think it was. I felt that was a major opportunity to, one, increase your talent level drastically with one player, and then also put butts back in seats. In terms of what Johnny Gaudreau would have done for rejuvenating the fan base, for ticket sales, for jersey sales, merchandise, all that fun stuff, he's a guy you really could have marketed around. I thought they missed out on that opportunity, and really the biggest thing that made that a swing and miss in my mind was, here's the best free agent on the market, and he wanted to come to a team that had 57 losses the year prior. And
Right.
you don't always have that kind of fall in your lap. Now, I'm not going to act like it would have been easy signing him. He demanded top dollar, and the Flyers would have had to make some pretty loud moves in terms of clearing cap. But I felt like they should have went after Johnny Gaudreau, or at least would have, I would have liked to have seen them be more aggressive. But that is in the past. And I think really the mission for the Flyers was, let's shore up things defensively. Let's give ourselves at least a chance to cut down on the goals against, and then we'll worry about offense later. And sometimes you see some of the better offensive teams, offense comes naturally through defending less, playing more in the offensive zone, being more structured. So I think they were really focused on shoring up defensively in terms of getting Tony DeAngelo, so you fill that hole with the Ryan Ellis insurance. You bring back Justin Braun to solidify your third pair. So now you're at least looking more stable defensively. And when they start to at least cut down their goals against, they have a better PK, they do things to look more like a team, a competitive team, then maybe they'll go out and they'll think offense. But right now, I think the mission was to get better defensively, play better in front of your franchise goalie, and then go from there.
What's your expectations for Tony DeAngelo? Sounds like he's going to start with Provorov.
Yeah, he'll be on that top pair, and I think it'll be fascinating to really see how those two mesh. I've talked to Ivan Provorov, and he said things are going well. Tony DeAngelo, I think, has matured a lot since his previous days. And I think they're going to get along well early, but I'm really anxious to see how they deal with failure. Because as you know, top pair guys are on the ice a ton. They play when your team's up a goal. They play when your team's down a goal. They're on PK. They're on power play. They play big minutes. So they're going to deal with failure. They're going to deal with success. I'm really eager to see how they deal when things aren't going well, because that's the true test of a pair and how successful it can be. So different personalities, but I think right now they're getting along. And I think DeAngelo can really help them at least in exiting the defensive zone and getting the puck up ice. He's a real skilled guy in terms of transitioning the puck with his legs, his eyes, and his skill. And I think too often the Flyers got pinned in their own end because they didn't have enough puck movers. They didn't have any stability on defense. They didn't really have a top pair guy to play with Ivan Provorov. So too often they're playing in their own end and they're just hanging on for dear life. I think DeAngelo will at least help them get the puck up the ice. He'll help them on the power play, but by no means do I think he's going to be a savior. I think he'll be a good player, but I think they have holes elsewhere, and they're going to need it to be a team effort. It can't just be, hey, Tony DeAngelo, put us on your back. It's going to have to be a collective effort.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's going to help get the puck up the ice. You won't have to defend less. You hopefully will be in your offensive zone more than your defensive zone. I guess that's the thought process.
Yeah.
What do you think about Carter Hart, assuming that he's healthy? I thought he was pretty good last year for first half, maybe 3/4 of the season. Things kind of fell off at the end there, but what are your expectations, assuming he's healthy?
I thought his play was one of the bigger silver linings to last season, was that he did rebound from that year prior, the pandemic shortened one, where it seemed like he really struggled mentally, and just with all the adjustments that the pandemic required and put on these players. He's a young kid living by himself. He's from Canada and he's away from his family and his support system. And I think everyone went through their own personal struggles in life during the pandemic. And I thought, unfortunately, it really weared on a young kid who plays the most important position in the game in a city like Philadelphia. So I thought a silver lining to last season was that he sort of stabilized. He got back to having fun. He got back to looking like himself. I thought it was great to see him put up some of those 45 save games, those 40 save games against, the Golden Knights. And I think he had a couple other real good ones. I think one in Carolina early in the season. So that I thought was a really good sign. I think he's going to be a key piece to this. And I think he's going to be one of the biggest ticket sellers the Flyers have, because you have a goalie in Carter Hart, 24 years old, sky's the limit, and you have a coach who's really known to have a track record of making life easier on the goalie. So I think you put those two together and you'll have something there. And I think, he's a reason to watch. I don't know about you, but I enjoy watching really good goaltending. I think Carter Hart's a guy that's going to be a reason for people to come out and watch this team, especially when you have a guy like Tortorella who's going to put good structure in front of him. So I think he'll be one of the key pieces to if the Flyers are more competitive and at least being relevant again in the NHL standings.
Yeah, just like your last point said, I think John Tortorella is really going to try to put that structure around them, try to win hockey games 2-1 the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
What about the backup goalie situation? Did you think they should have signed a veteran? The roster came out this morning. Looks like Samuel Erson's going to start the year as the backup.
Travis, I'll be honest. If they were a team that I thought could really contend for a playoff spot, or if they were a surefire playoff team looking to take that next step, I would have said go out and get a backup. I'm not sure if I would have trusted Felix Sandstrom, who has, I believe, 5 career games in the NHL, Samuel Ersson, who hasn't played yet in the NHL, or like an AHL career guy like Troy Grosnick. But the fact is, I don't expect the Flyers to be contending for a playoff spot come, February, March, and so on. So now I think is the time to see what you have in Felix Sandstrom. He's 25. I think his time is now to see what you have. And same with Samuel Ersson. If he can stay healthy, he'll get a lot of games in Lehigh Valley, and he looked excellent in the preseason. And I think it's time to sort of build within net minding wise from the backup spot as well. You can only go out and plug that hole via free agency or trade with a career backup. That's nothing against the Martin Joneses and the Brian Elliots, but I thought this year, giving it to transitional year in my mind for the Flyers, was a good chance to see what you have internally with some of these kids who not really are kids anymore. Felix Sandstrom's 25. Let's see what you have in him. He showed you a little something at the end of last season. Give him a shot, see how he can do.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Sandstrom's been in the organization a couple of years. I think it's time to let's see what you got in him, especially cap strap team. Like you said, we're in transition. I think it was a good move.
Yeah, do you want to commit $2.5 million to a backup, or can you get by spending less there, maybe address some other areas, or at least give yourself some cap flexibility by trusting a kid in a year where I don't think expectations or pressure will be ridiculously high?
Completely agree. Before I let you go, I want to get a couple predictions out of you.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Who do you think will lead the Flyers in both goals and points this season?
So it's interesting. The Flyers haven't had a 30-goal scorer since Sean Couturier. I believe he did it in 2018-19. Now, of course, the pandemic certainly had an impact on that. The next 2 seasons were cut short because of COVID. And then last season was just an injury-marred year for the Flyers where guys were in and out of the lineup. Cam Atkinson maybe would have flirted with 30 if he stayed healthy. I don't think they're going to have a 30-goal scorer. I'm with John Tortorella. I think they're going to have to score by committee. But I'll go with Travis Konechny in both points and goals. I think he's a guy that can really play in John Tortorella's system. I think Tortorella's the guy that could take him to another level. When you think of John Tortorella, everyone praises him for taking guys to another level, going from maybe good to great or from not so good to effective. I think Travis Konechny is a guy that Tortorella can really work his magic with, make him play, in a more structured style, make him bear down and finish some of these chances. I thought Konechny had a pretty unlucky season last year. If you look at his shooting percentage and some of the things he did, I think there's a good chance for him to get back to that 2019-20 Konechny and really lead the team. And maybe it's a little bit by default too, because they're roster isn't really rich with
Mhm.
scorers. So I think Konechny should be a guy that will be up there. I think in my mind he's the best bet. How about you?
Completely agree.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
I want to say Joel, but I also look at how so he had the same surgery that Jack Eichel had, and it took Jack Eichel a while to get going last year. He really never looked like the same guy. So let's kind of pump our expectations on Joel Farabee this season. Um, I think Kevin Hayes is going to have a really good year. I liked what I saw out of him in camp. He looks faster, which I mean, he's never really been a fast guy, but he looks good out there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when Coots comes back and Hayes' matchups and his ice time and all that. But I agree. I think TK is going to have a good year. I think kind of bringing more structure back into his game,
Yeah.
like we saw early in his career. He used to score a lot off the rush, and now bringing in some John Tortorella structure, maybe he can get some more opportunities off the rush.
And it sounds like he really did his homework this offseason. He told us he has actually watched some tape from his previous seasons where he had success. So they were kind of going over film with him to maybe go back to see what was working and starting to re-implement those things. So it sounds like he's doing his homework. And yes, I think a coach helps you stabilize things. They've gone through some coaches last year. They've gone through a lot of change in the roster. So I think Travis Konechny is a guy you can get more out of. And I'm with you. Like Joel Farabee, I would love to see it from him, but I'm hesitant to do that just because he's coming off a real serious surgery. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's some getting back into the swing of things for him. And then you look at some of the better players like Cam Atkinson and Sean Couturier dealing with injuries. Cam is 33, could be dealing with banged up throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I think Travis Konechny might be your best bet.
There's also a lot of young, talented players trying to make their mark, get established players in the league. Any of them guys you think have the best bet of breaking out?
I'm going to go with Noah Cates just because I really like the way he plays. He scores goals through his effort and his smarts. And they're not going to be a team that I think flashes up and down the ice and is going to need some guy to kind of dangle through everyone and score. So I think he has a good chance to score through playing the way Tortorella wants to play. The organization loves him. Tortorella has really grown on him now that he's gotten to know him through the preseason. And I think you saw what Cates can do in his audition last year. He had 16 games. He had 9 points. That's a kid that never played pro hockey. He had played college before that, and he jumps in. He has 9 points in 16 games in really an unsettled environment. They had lineups, totally different lineups from mid-March on,
right.
And this kid jumps in and he plays well. So I think Noah Cates, I'm really excited to see what he can do through the full course of an NHL season. I hope he's up here. I hope he stays in the lineup, stays healthy, and I hope he can play 75 to 82 games for you. And let's not forget Morgan Frost. I thought he looked like a different guy in the preseason. He looked more confident, more comfortable, and I think he's really ready to establish himself as an NHL player. So I'll say Noah Cates, and I want to keep an eye on Morgan Frost as well. How about you?
So I'm going to go back on your point. I'm glad you mentioned Frost because he's not known, obviously, for like his defensive style, but I like the way he played in his defensive zone in the preseason. So I'm glad you mentioned him.
Yeah.
Cates as well. I thought Cates was the best player out of the Flyers on the entire preseason.
That's fair.
I think I'm going to go Wade Allison.
Okay.
And obviously that's the big if injuries.
Yeah.
But the guy's got speed and he's got a shot.
Yeah.
And he's got a motor. He likes to crash and bang. It's all about injuries with him, but if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be a really good player for the Flyers.
I really like that pick. I think he has arguably maybe the best shot in the organization. You probably put Tyson Forrester up there. I'm sure Cam Atkinson would like to have his name in that category. But one of the best shots in the organization, and like you said, he runs on a bottom six motor. So you don't really see that a lot where a guy has that talent and then also that style of game that can suit you in the bottom six. I would love to see Wade Allison break out. He's a fun guy. I would love it because I think the fans would enjoy it. He's a guy that I think suits the city well if he can stay healthy.
Completely agree. I'd like to hear your playoff prediction for the Metropolitan Division and maybe where you see the Flyers finishing.
Yeah, I think the Hurricanes and the Rangers are still right up there in terms of leading the division. Of course, you have Penguins and Capitals who are, I think, still looking to get some more run out of their core. Time's certainly ticking on those two. But I feel like every year we say that about Pittsburgh and Washington, like, hey, they're going to finally fade, right? And they haven't really faded a ton yet. They're
Right.
still always right in the mix. But I think the Hurricanes and Rangers are the two teams that I think are going to lead this division. I think the Flyers are very much in it for a transitional season. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Uh, you're coming off 57 losses and a lot of change. I think it's time for them to stabilize and kind of get back up on their feet and get back to pushing forward. I could see them being in maybe the mid 70-point range. I don't think that would be a terrible thing.
Mhm.
It's crazy, but John Tortorella, his first full season in Tampa, they were a 69-point team. By year 3, they were winning the cup. I'm not going to say that's what the Flyers are going to follow that same path, but he's a guy that maybe it doesn't always first click in year 1, but you make strides, and then maybe by year 3, you're seeing kind of the fruit of the labor. And so if they're in the mid 70-point range, I don't think that's a terrible thing. That's where I probably see them. Very much a transitional year, but I think they have a really good chance to be more competitive, cut down on your goals against, and at least have some more relevancy, have people coming back and thinking this team's going to be in more games than they were in the past year.
Yeah, I think that's dead on. If you can get a couple guys to bounce back to where they were at maybe 2 years ago, you get some fans back in the building, you kind of instill some of that old culture,
Yeah.
the standard, we keep hearing that, bring the standard back a little bit. Like you said, transition year. I think if all that happens, you could call it a small success.
Yeah, and figure out who should be here and who shouldn't.
Yep.
That's eventually the cutthroat part of pro sports is trying to figure out who belongs and who doesn't. And I think the Flyers are very much in that position of we got to figure out who's going to be a piece to us eventually climbing back into contention and who do we think isn't and how do we fill holes. So very much a find out what you have kind of year. That happens when you hit rock bottom. And I think the Flyers hit rock bottom last year. I don't expect them to go through a season like they did last year where just about everything went wrong. That could go wrong. I think they're going to slowly start to work their way up, and at least they have a new coach behind the bench who's been there, done it, and can kind of give you direction. I think the Flyers have good people in house, but sometimes they need to figure out how to get those good people to win. I don't think they have terrible personnel. I think they have some pieces you can build around, but they need direction. They got to figure out and learn how to win. And I think you have a guy who has a track record of doing it. And that's a good start.
I think that's bang on. Last one I got for you. Do you have a really super early Stanley Cup prediction?
So I can't say I do. I can't say I've looked a ton elsewhere around the league or even in the division a ton, but I think the Avalanche are going to be right back there. I know it's not a fun pick, but I don't see any reason to not think Colorado is going to be right back there, especially with a guy like McKinnon who just seems like he's destined for championships. Like the guy is so driven that it seems like he's not going to be one to rest on one championship. So you have a young star in Cale Makar, and then you have a guy like Nathan McKinnon who's in his prime and seems really hungry to win multiple titles. So I'm going to say off the top of my head, Travis, I'm going to say Colorado again, repeat champs. But I'm eager to hear who you have.
That's a good pick. Like you said, McKinnon may be more motivated than anybody.
Yeah.
They lose Nazem Kadri, but the rest of that team is stacked, and you got some young guys like Bowen Byram and Alex Newhook. They want some more minutes, pretty talented players. I think Tampa Bay may have one more run in them.
Ooh.
I think if they can stay healthy, Palat's a big loss, obviously.
Yeah.
He's kind of like he's that scorer on a checking line or he's that checker on a scoring line, that kind of a player. He's hard to replace, but I just look at that lineup, Point, Stamkos, Kucherov. The third line still nasty. Still got a good defense. I think Sergachev with McDonough gone. I think Sergachev is going to take another leap forward.
Yeah.
And you got the best goalie in the world. So I think Tampa's got another run in them.
Yeah, as long as they have Vasilevsky too, as you mentioned, best player at his position. and they're healthy. I'm with you. When they're healthy, because they haven't always had good health, and they still find a way. They're healthy, and you got to think motivation sky high, right, to get back to it, especially the way they lost last year. That's a good pick. I like that. I think that's an under the radar pick because I don't think a lot of people. I think people are still high on the Lightning, but I think you're starting to see some teams take over in terms of favorite status, and like Colorado's one of them.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good pick.
Right on. Tell the viewers where we can find your work at.
Absolutely. Travis, thanks for having me. You can find my work at NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at JHallNBCS. So wherever you want to get your stories, whether it's social media or our website, you can do it right there. And just really appreciate you having me on and look forward to seeing you around the rinks.
Jordan Hall, thank you for joining me.
Travis, thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate Jordan hopping on the channel. He does great work. He's one of my favorite Flyers writers to read. Next up, Ben Debroekert. He's been on the channel a couple times before. Cameraman and graphics guy for Nasty Knuckles.
Benny D, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm pretty good, nothing much. I got a little fans in here, some crickets, so if you hear some noises, that's what that is. But I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Getting ready for the season to start. Can't come soon enough.
Oh, true. But how you feel about these Flyers, Travis?
I don't think they're going to be very good. How about you?
Really?
Really?
I know Flyers fans have been crying, not crying. Don't be mean to me. I'm sorry. I know they've been having a bad time. You know, things haven't been going their way this offseason. But I think John Tortorella is going to bring something to this team. They're not making the playoffs. Spoiler alert. They're not going to be an incredible team. I don't think they're going to be over 500, but I think they'll be a good team to watch. It's going to be better than last year, basically.
You think they'll give better effort, stay in games, not get blown out as much?
I think they will. I mean, looking at their defense, it's not really, it's still pretty bad.
Not a big Rasmus Ristolainen guy?
You know what? I'm going to say this. He's going to have a resurgence this year. You know, he's going to keep all that hate behind him.
Why?
I just think, you saw what he was in Buffalo. He's a great fucking player. And he just needs someone to believe in him. And I think John Tortorella is that guy.
Okay. I thought you were going to say someone like off the ice was believing in him.
Oh, I mean, all these fans. I mean, come on, guys. You got to be nice to these guys.
Do you think they should name a captain?
No. And I don't think they're going to name a captain probably all season. I mean, unless Cote comes back, but knowing him and his injury history, I wouldn't give it to him if he's going to be gone in the next month. So I don't think they should name a captain at all. Or if a guy's scoring 50 goals, maybe give him a little captain, but we'll see.
Okay. Because, I mean, you talk about Cote. I mean, you have him on your fantasy team. You said the Flyers defense is bad. You got Tony DeAngelo on your fantasy team.
Whoa,
you got Travis Konechny on your fantasy team.
Hey, when we go into who's getting the most points here, I'll show off. But I think, like you said, I got Cote in my injury reserve, which he's just there for some stash. But we know what kind of player he is. We know what he can bring to this team. But knowing what kind of injury he has, can he be that guy for a season? Could he be that guy for 50 games? Probably not. But
right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Can he produce the same way he produced a couple years ago or a couple seasons ago? He could, because he's going to still have that shooting ability, but he's going to skate as fast. He's going to help defend as well. I don't think so. So
right, I agree.
We'll see how they do. But
do you think any of these?
Go on.
Do you think any of these young guys are going to break out? Whether that's Frost. I mean, you've been very high on Morgan Frost for a long time.
Yeah. Yes.
Frost, no Cates, Allison, any of these guys?
Looking through the young players, I forgot about Allison too. Like, if he stays healthy, he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to be scoring a lot of goals, but he's got to stay healthy. Frost, he's going down my list. He's really got to show himself. And I think he's got the raw talent. He looks fucking awesome on the ice. He skates so well. He can't. I guess the finishing ability is not there. But someone like Noah Cates, watching him in the preseason and a few games last season, I think he can be a guy that can step up pretty big. I think he can be like a 20-plus goal scorer this season. if everything goes right.
Mhm.
And then Tippett, Owen Tippett, he's going to be a really good. I think he could give him a little bit. I think he's going to take a little bit to still gel, still be that scorer he can become. But I think he will be an incredible scorer one day. He's still very young, so we'll see how it goes. Who do you think is going to break out this season?
Like you said, Wade Allison, that's my guy.
Yeah.
As long as he stays healthy, I mean, he's got the shot. He can skate, very physical. Like he's got like top 6 skill, but like a
Mhm.
bottom 6 motor. Like he's everything a coach would want.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
about injuries with him.
Exactly. And see who John Torello trusts too. Like you never know. His history with young players isn't as good, but I think I don't know. I'm a casual, so. But it's like going back to like think about John Torello's team in 2019. I think it was 2019 when they beat the Lightning in the first round, right, or whatever. That team wasn't good at all. Well, it was pretty good, but no, it was a mid team. Like the Flyers this year, it's a kind of a mid team. If they can, I mean, I looked at their division. My hope for you guys making the playoffs crumbles down when I see who's in your division, and it sucks because it could be like a Columbus year where you could just like squeak in and then have a great playoff performance. But I think that's your potential is just squeaking in maybe. But that's
Yeah.
it, yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Zach McEwen, former Canuck, was placed on waivers, went unclaimed, was sent to the AHL. What are your thoughts on that?
It's very upsetting, but just like for the Canucks, like he's got the grit, he wants to be there, but he just doesn't have the skill. He can fight for you, but I mean, do you want that? Do you just want a guy who fights and just dragging everything else down? I don't
Right.
know, but I mean, you guys got
Delorier.
Delorier, bringing in Delorier, which is an incredible pickup in my opinion. He's kind of skillful. Well, not like for a big guy who can fight, he's kind of skillful, and he can fucking beat people up. That's what you need. It's really what you need.
I hope that if we're way out of it, like maybe halfway through the year,
Mm-hmm.
call up McEwen, go get Wayne Simmons, and just beat the hell out of everybody.
Dude, Wayne Simmons is there for the taking, bro. Come on.
Crazy, right?
He'd be a great
I
add
feel
to this.
bad for him.
Honestly, I really do. But he had a good career, long career.
Yeah,
Can't really score as much as he did before, but he can hit a guy. So
that's
it's pretty
about
good.
it at this
That's
point.
that's all you need.
Who do
It's
you think
unfortunate.
leads the Flyers in goals and points?
I was thinking about this long and hard. Um, I don't know. I thought Cam Atkinson. I think he could be one of the. I think he's going to score a lot of goals this year with Torts. But I think one of the guys that's really going to rebound and have an incredible season is Travis Konechny. But he's got to want it. He's got to want to show up and just try hard. I don't know. There's something that's been missing for the last 2 years. But I think you got some young guys coming up. You can you can throw them in line with. I think there's talent on those top 2 lines you have. So I think he can get at least 30, 35, 40. Hey, I think he can break the 40 mark. Not this year,
Okay.
probably next year. We'll see. He could probably break a 40 mark. Who
I
do you
used to think that.
Who do you think? Who do you think scoring the most goals?
I'll go TK points and goals. I wish Farabee was healthy.
If I was going to say him, but it's only if he's healthy. But I was also going to say, watch out for James Van Riemsdyk. Hey, he's scoring a little bit last season. I think, like I said, if everything goes right, he can be a great lethal scorer for you guys.
Really?
I mean, honestly. I mean, when was the last season he scored 30? It's like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
He's like what 30?
Has he ever scored 30 in Philly?
No, I looked.
I don't think so.
I looked. No, he didn't. Hey, but he did for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
They might have had what's his name, but
JVR for Luke Shen. What a trade! What a trade!
Beautiful trade. Oh, and most points. I'm gonna go Konechny. I think he can do it. Hey, wait, Tony DeAngelo. No, he's not getting that many points. He'll get a bunch of points. He'll not most points. He'll do good.
I think I'll go Konechny points. Goals. It might be Konechny too.
He's gonna. I think he'll dominate this year. But
Yeah.
like I said,
I think the Tortorella system's going to help him out a lot because Konechny used to score a lot off the rush, and then like kind of lost some structure in our game and kind of tuned out the coach. So I think like structured hockey is going to help Konechny again.
Exactly. And
Um,
with in the preseason, was he? I only saw one goal of his.
he only played one game. He got hurt.
Really? He scored.
Yeah.
He scored in that one, right? That was
Yeah,
a nice
against
goal.
Buffalo.
That was a really good goal. But yeah, just gotta get him scoring again.
So you already hinted at this a little bit earlier, but you don't think the Flyers are going to make the playoffs.
Well, like I was like looking at your divisions, and I was like, I mean, we can look at it now, man. It's just like it's so fucking stacked, where it's just unfair at this point. Like the only team that I think is worse than you is the Islanders. I think the Capitals aren't going to have a good year. Well, with Ovi, anything can happen. Same with the Penguins. Like I say that every year, they're not going to do good, and then they just fucking go crazy. So, I mean, you're going to want the Rangers to do bad. You're going to want the Blue Jackets to not do good. I think the Hurricanes aren't going to do as good as they were doing the last few seasons, but it's going to be rough. It's true. And Pacioretty's on IR for a while, so it's going to be a tough time. But I think you're gonna be right there. I think you're gonna be right there.
Who's winning the cup this year?
With the Vancouver Canucks new signing Andrei Kuzmenko, he's giving me Ovi flashbacks. So I'm not just kidding. I'm gonna go. I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be like it's not gonna be a team you're gonna expect, but it's kind I think the Wild are gonna sneak in there. I said it last year. They didn't do as hot, but that team that lineup is loaded. Their young guys are coming up and going crazy. Boldy and then Rossi's about to come up and do something good. And they got good young defensemen. This guy named Addison's really good. So if that team can find their good structure, I think they can go crazy with Kaprizov and all them. So I think they're gonna be a sneaky pick. Who do you got?
I think the Lightning might have one more run in them.
I could see it. I could see it easily. You think that team's staying healthy?
I don't know. They're starting to get older, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also think. What do you think about the Flames? You think the Flames are better than they were?
I think they are better. Well,
yeah.
They're losing Goudreau and they're losing Tkachuk, but you get Huberdeau, who had 100 points, the second most or the most points. So I think someone like Dylan Dubé is going to become a great player, and people don't expect him to be good, but to be as good. Like I think he's going to be really good this year. Shillington, their young defenseman, he's going to be really good this year too. So Huberdeau is going to elevate so many people's play. I think they're going to have a lot of sneaky guys coming through too. So that's going to be a team to watch out for, 100%.
Yeah, I do too. What about the Vegas Golden Knights? You think they got anything left?
I haven't looked at that roster at all. Like what have they been doing?
Nothing.
They still have that one guy in that Brossois, right? Or not?
I think he's going to be the backup, and Logan Thompson's going to be the starter.
Thompson. I like Logan Thompson a lot, actually. I think he was pretty good. Same with dude. I think a goalie that could probably elevate a team to a championship-winning level. I think it's the Oilers with their new pickup. I think they can really.
Jack Campbell guy.
Massive Jack Campbell guy. I thought. I don't know why would the Leafs? Well, I guess contracts, but I don't know why they got rid of him. But
money.
Like I said, casual fan. But I think he was so good for such a long stretch for them. I think a team that had such just goalie problems, if they had a good goalie, they'd be a really good team. He fits perfectly in that team. I mean, the Oilers are defensively still kind of bad, but I don't know, but they could be a really good team.
Talking about goalies.
Sneaky picks? Because there's so many teams. I mean, even the Blues. Come on.
I know. I like the Blues. Yeah, what's up with that? Everyone's kind of like downplaying them. I think the Blues are really good.
They're really good. Robert Thomas, I think, is going to become a incredible player for him. Kyrie's just going to get even better.
Ryan O'Reilly's still good. Schenner, Tarasenko.
They lost Husso, but Binnington's still Binnington, in my opinion. People hate him, but I think he's just a really good goalie. Like I don't think. What you like Binnington?
I don't think he's good.
Okay, I mean, he did have that one good year, and then did shit last year. But
Yeah. Like he was bad last year until playoffs, and then he was really good in the playoffs.
which is why it's like they make the playoffs. They're going to be a
Yeah.
great team to watch in the playoffs. So, yeah.
Talking about goalies, you think Carter Hart's going to do good this year?
I think he will. I think he really will. Like I said, if injuries go, they don't have no injuries. I think he's going to be a really good goalie. I mean, what I've seen from him through his rookie year on, he's just been a lights out, insanely good goalie. Underrated in my opinion. I don't know what year his rookie year was, but I think he can be a really good goalie for them this year if he stays healthy and if his defense can play defense, which is the biggest part.
I completely agree. Those are two very big ifs, but if the defense plays well in front of him and he stays healthy, I think he's going to have a really good year.
And like you can pick up. I mean, I feel like the Flyers are going to be picking up. I don't know what your roster, your cap's looking like, but I think you're going to start picking up guys, trading guys, huh? Cap
hell, yeah.
Just like the Canucks. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we got good general managers, which is unfortunate for you guys.
Yeah, good old Chuck. Chucky 2 trades.
The GOAT. He's really about to show off this year, man. He's gonna make some trades at the deadline. You're making the playoffs, bro. Just watch.
He'll be fired by Christmas.
Let's hope not. Let's hope so. All right, who do you think's win the Vezina? Or let's do these trophies real quick. All those trophies.
Okay. Vezina.
That's hard. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, putting me on the spot here.
I know. Honestly.
See, trying to think of like a good team.
Yeah. See who I'm going with, and I think the Canucks are going to have a really big year this year. But also, Demko is still going to be as good as he was for all these years. He's going to be an insane goalie this year, and he's going to be the top. He's going to be in contention. Probably he's going to be 1, 2, or 3. I think he's probably going to win it, or of course Shesterkin, but because it's Shesterkin, and that team.
Yeah, I think that's just like too easy of a pick.
Yes, honestly. Maybe Vasilevsky, but
yeah, I feel like everyone just kind of knows how good them guys are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even think Vasilevsky's won it in a couple of years, which is dumb. But like,
honestly, and he's still fucking the best goalie in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the Bruins make the playoffs, I could see Swayman getting some votes.
I could see him getting votes too, but what's his name too?
Ullmark.
He's really good too. If he can get, dude, that one, Boston Bruins are a team you guys, the league should watch out for too. I think they're still a really good team.
I agree. I think if they can kind of just stay in it the first half of the year and get all their guys back, Marchand and Hall and McAvoy, I think they'll do really good.
God, yeah, I forgot McAvoy's injured too for a while. That's crazy. But yeah.
I wanted to take him in fantasy, but I already took Marchand, and I also wanted to take Tom Wilson, and I was like, I can't like put myself in a hole at the beginning of the year.
Okay, I'm gonna call out Travis Ball right now. Last year we didn't have an IR spot. Okay, I went in this year drafting this year, not thinking we had an IR spot. Well, this could be just me. I thought we didn't have an IR spot, so
Did you read the group chat?
That's my my bad. But I missed out on Marchand, McAvoy, a couple other guys. I had to pick up fucking Coots on waivers, and that's a waste of a waiver, if you ask me. But yeah. Oh yeah, who's winning the Hart?
You know what? I'm gonna go Cale Makar.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
How about you? Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Actually, I think he's the best defender in the league right now, easily.
He's gonna win the Hart and the Norris.
Did McDavid? Matthews won it last year, right?
Yep.
They're not giving it to him again. Even if he does the same thing, he's not getting it again, in my opinion.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick here.
Go on.
Monday, October 3rd at 11:25 in the morning, I announced that we were doing an IR spot this year because half the league wanted it last year.
Okay, but hey, it may have got lost into so many texts because people were like, "Oh, we finally have an hour spot this year." I don't know, dude. My team's
Yeah.
already so good. I got blessed, by the way, with the first pick once again. So and I already have the best team in my opinion. People are picking all these. They're reaching so hard for these guys. I'm just like, all right, I'll pick Goudreau and fucking Jason Robertson, who's gonna underrated. He's gonna win the Hart. Jason, bold
Really?
prediction, dude. You see his numbers last year? He's going insane. I mean, that Stars team isn't as good.
He is
but
very good. I have his, you know what? I have his rookie card, so he wins the heart. It'll go up in value a little bit. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, you better lock up your house, bro. I'm about to come and see you later. All right,
all good. They're locked away.
Rookie of the year. What do you think about that one? Because I have one locked in already. But I think it should be easy too. But people, like, if you're everyone right now, go on whatever betting app you own. Okay,
He's going to say Podkolzin.
I'm not saying, but no, I don't think he's a rookie this year.
Oh, no?
But someone on the Canucks, that dude, his odds are probably like, I can't find it on BetMGM. I'm pissed. I'm gonna go do another app. Kuzmenko, bro. I saw someone who was like plus 4,000.
I got them mixed up. They're both Canucks.
They're both Russian. Yeah. Go great. He's 27, bro. Okay, he got his second most points in the KHL last year. He's gonna go brazy. Pick him up right now. See, Crickets are agreeing with me right now.
I'm wondering if Wade Allison is still considered a rookie.
Oh, he hasn't played that many games.
He played one last year, and I want to say he played maybe 9 the year before that.
I think he's still a rookie, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's that Kai Nola guy that he always. What? How's he, dude? Is he coming back?
No, he's done for the year already.
Oh, that's right, the year. That's unfortunate.
He's probably gonna retire.
Really? Which is the most unfortunate thing in the world, because the talent that kid fucking had too is crazy.
Yep.
But going, like I said, who rookie of the year? Do you think is that gonna be?
Kuzmenko.
You really think Kuzmenko?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else could there be. McTavish. I don't think he's gonna do super well.
Is Owen Power? He's probably still considered a rookie.
Owen Power. I don't think. Oh, Beniers, if he's still considered.
Yeah, Matty Beniers. Yeah, he is.
Shane Wright, 100% with that. I think he's going to have a fucking vengeance in him this year.
Really? I don't like Shane Wright.
Did he play any preseason games?
I don't know.
That I think I watched one of their games against the Canucks. They look pretty decent. They have what's his name? Who they get from the Blue Jackets?
Bjorkstrand.
He looks pretty good. I think, like I said, I have him on my fantasy team, so he's gonna. Hopefully, he does good. I don't know why I picked him. I reached from.
We should have live streamed the fantasy draft.
We really should have. I would have. I think there would have been too much pressure. I would have made the worst picks ever, honestly.
Chris was taking like the full minute and a half. He was asking Bill Meltzer for advice, I think.
He's making. Hey, Chris, you're making some awesome moves this year. You're stealing all of my guys. Kent Johnson also up for Rookie of the Year. I think he'll be really good. But man, you're doing a good job this year. Last year you didn't have a good showing, but
who's the Ducks defenseman whose name's just completely he's a rookie?
Drysdale.
Yeah.
He'll be great this year. That Ducks team, man, I can't wait to watch them. I wonder what they're gonna be like.
Should have kept Delorier.
Oh,
everyone's gonna be taking runs. I mean, we already saw it in the preseason with Zegras. Everyone's gonna be taking runs at them small young guys, and
yeah.
They can't do anything about it.
Oh, didn't they say Zegras was working on some? What do you think he's up to? Someone said he's got a new move.
Oh God!
What the fuck is he gonna do, bro? Is he gonna fucking shoot on the other side with his stick? Like, what's he? Is he gonna twirl around like a fucking?
He's gonna put the stick behind his back.
That would be, you know what, Loki? That'd be pretty far. I'm not gonna lie. Just do a little spin move. That'd be far. Hopefully, he can pull some off against the Flyers and not the Canucks.
Yeah, I mean, our defense. He's gonna just like. He's going to do some crazy move around Ristolainen.
Well, he's not, because I think Ristolainen's going to go brazy this year. When did they play the Canucks? Flyers. It's like
second game of the year.
At the Flyers? That's
We
what
got to get our revenge from last year.
exactly. No, you're gonna see You're gonna see a Kuzmenko goal first this time, and not put Goals in goal. Which, by the way, that won me $100 last time. So I'm putting so much money on Kuzmenko scoring a goal. I'm using my entire bank account, honestly, on that.
Really?
Yes, no, I'm not. No, but
And
I
if
think
it
he
hits,
will
you got to
score.
buy me a jersey.
Okay, I'll buy you a great.
You
Chris
got to you got to
Kuzmenko
buy me
jersey.
one of them new Billy Bano jackets. You see them things? Them
Oh,
things are
you
clean.
saw those pics. Those guys looking a little fly there.
Right.
God,
We're gonna
I need
lose
to
in
buy me
style
some.
this year. We're gonna lose in style.
God, no, you know what? Hey, a little optimism before we end this. Listen, guys, John Tortorella is a great coach. Okay, you may have a shitty GM. Hey, we've all been through it. I think you guys are going to start the year off a little rough, just like preseason. You're going to look pretty bad. Honestly, you're going to lose a lot of games. But after this certain mark, something's going to click. One of the players is going to be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to score all of these goals. And that's going to be connecting. And then that's going to go to Atkinson. And he's going to start going crazy. And then, like I said, once everyone's healthy, D'Angelo's going to go brazy. Hopefully Hart stays great. Provorov finds something about. I don't know if he's going to stick with Tony D'Angelo. Do you think?
I do. I think
You
they
really-
have to make that work.
They have to make it work, but do they look? They don't look that good
It
together,
was,
honestly.
yeah, no. It was one game, but that was ugly.
Oh, was it? Like I said, I only watched.
Yeah, it was only one game. Tony kept reversing. Oh man, Darren Waller done for the night. Needed him for fantasy tonight.
He's on my fantasy team too. My other one.
Tony kept reversing it behind the net, and Provy was like nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
No
hey,
chemistry at all.
And it sucks about Provorov because like he's getting a lot of shit right now, and he used to be. I still think he's a great defender in him. Of course, he's still young, so he's just got to find something in him. And yeah, I think he'll click this year eventually. Not like immediately, but he'll get there.
I think that's a good place to end it. A little
Great place to
optimism.
end it. God, hopefully.
Debo, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it. Next up, Mr. High and Wide himself, Jim Iacavone.
Jim Iacavone from Flyers High and Wide Hockey. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on, buddy?
Baller. I know. It has been a while since, I guess, camp a week or two ago, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, everything's going good over here. Excited for the Flyer season to start in a couple days. It doesn't feel like it has in seasons past, but still excited for hockey to be back. How you doing?
Can't complain. More so excited about the Phillies. Postseason
Understandable.
baseball tonight. I know you're a big Phillies guy, right?
I wanted to ask you, did you shed a tear after they beat the Cardinals over the weekend?
I did not.
Okay.
Maybe if they win the World Series.
Oh yeah, of course. I bet you partied though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean for me that's what it is. Like if they win, the last thing I want to do is cry. Like I want to go out and party. Like yeah, reason to celebrate. Like let's go out and do something, So yeah, I'm a Phillies fan too. So I don't want to get anything wrong there. Like I'm happy to see them advance. Like I think Friday I watched the ninth inning literally because I was out all day. I had to go out to dinner later that night. I'm like, the Phillies are on. Let me see what's going on. They're down 2-0 in the ninth, right? It was 2-0.
Yeah.
And they scored the 6 runs. It was fun, because it wasn't. I know this isn't a Phillies show, but it was fun. It was refreshing to watch a team score runs that weren't just bombs, or bombs and strikeouts. It was infield hits. It was, just solid contact, getting guys on base. I think there was a couple walks and a hit batter. It was refreshing to see that the way that they won.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't had you on since Tortorella was hired, so maybe get your quick thoughts on the offseason.
Yeah.
They trade Claude Giroux at the trade deadline. They buy out Oscar Lindblom, so you lose some goal production there. You do add Tony D'Angelo, help out the back end, help out the power play, getting the puck up the ice, and they also bring in some grit with Nick Delorier. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the offseason.
Yeah, so let's start with Torts, man. This guy, he's going to be the professor, or like he's going to – the way he sounds when he talks is he's getting to the very, very bottom or very base of everything. Whatever problems are there at the foundation, he's going to fix. And that's the way to do it. I think if you're going to fix an organization, if you're going to fix a roster, and what he is going to do, he's going to leave a lasting impression on this organization, on the players that are here after he's gone, and that will continue on. I'm already thinking 3 and 4 years down the road because let's face it, this year they're not going to win too many games this season, right? And what we should be looking for is, okay, who's on board? Who's adapting to Tortorella? And that's not to say he's a bad leader or he makes players adjust to him, because good leaders will adjust to their players, which he's talked about doing. At the same time, who's on board with Torts? And I think you're starting to see players like Noah Cates really flourish under Tortorella. Smart hockey players that are willing to do the little things. Opposite spectrum of that, I think you're seeing guys like Cam York sent down to the Phantoms. Guys that aren't really adjusting well to John Tortorella. Their personalities might clash a little bit. And, we'll see what happens with that. But, who overall it's going to be who's on board to, right the ship here. And I'm interested to see that. I love the hire of John Tortorella, Italian guy. So represent. But he's a good human being, and you would think that would connect with a lot of the players, and we'll see if it translates on the ice. I think it will eventually. Maybe not. You look at camp, right? They haven't really worked on systems almost at all during camp. The first week or two was okay. Let's see who can play. They scrimmaged a lot. They skated a lot. There weren't very many teaching moments until the last week or so. So I'm interested to see, are they going to be prepared to play New Jersey? Like I haven't seen New Jersey's camp, but I know they're not going through what the Flyers are going through. So I imagine, they have the same coaches last year too. I imagine they know how they're going to play. They know how they're going to play against the Flyers. Do the Flyers feel like that going into Thursday night's game against New Jersey or Saturday's game against the Sharks? I don't know. Judging by what we've seen out of camp, I don't know what the system is yet. I don't know how they're going to be playing very aggressive hockey, which I think will be fun as fans to watch. Can the players do that for 60 minutes? If any sign of preseason was a sign, they have some work to do. You know what I mean? To play aggressively for full 60. There were some lulls specifically in the second period, but we'll see. As far as players, Tony DeAngelo, this guy has an aura, right? He's got an edge to him. You can tell he's from the area, because a lot of these guys, they're Canadian or West Coast and whatnot, and they're just normal, I guess. Maybe it's normal, but when you're around Tony DeAngelo, and you guys had him in the studio for Nasty Knuckles, he has that edge to him. I think just a natural, Philly area, South Jersey edge. And they needed a guy like that. They need more players like that. I think that kind of has that FU attitude, I think he's going to help the power play immensely. I think he was brought in specifically for that. I think Torts even said that nothing on the power play units are set except that Tony DeAngelo is going to be on there. Right. Yeah. So hopefully, we see him make a difference there. Delorier, I love the guy. People can say whatever they want. This is another good human being. He's here for leadership reasons. Obviously, he knows his role. He's going to be protecting the younger guys. He's going to be out there, hopefully laying hits. This is a big physical guy. Guys don't want to hit him. I can think of one example in practice. They were doing drills in the corner, and DeAngelo was just bodying Sanheim, right? I think it was Sanheim. I actually was Tippett. And he was roughing him up in the corner. He was roughing up Owen Tippett. They did the same drill where Delorier was in the corner with the puck, and DeAngelo wasn't doing the same things to Delorier, So he's not going to score 20 goals. And may not even score 15 goals, Delorier. He's not going to be cycling the puck, He's not going to have the best Corsi on the team or any of those things that, some people look out for when they look for good players. But he's going to make positive changes in ways that you're not going to see on the score sheet, or he's going to do them behind closed doors. You watch him during practice, Trav, like he's talking to everybody. Any chance he gets to talk to somebody, he's talking to them. And you need character guys on a roster, that are going to call guys out when their standard is not where it should be. He's kind of going to be like a soldier for Tortorella, if you will. And hopefully that sounds good. But you need guys all pulling the rope to one side, and I think Deloria and D'Angelo are going to be two of those guys. Who else did they add? Justin Braun, but he was here. I wanted to ask him yesterday. And we had Julie Robenheimer on our show yesterday. Julie.
Mm-hmm.
So she's awesome. She mentioned that she wondered if Braun's experience last year with New York, because they went all the way to the conference finals, right? She wondered if he could bring any of that experience back to the Flyers this year, and I thought that was interesting because he kind of was sandwiched in New York. He had Flyers, New York, and then he came back to Philadelphia for some reason. So what did he see there that he can bring back to the Flyers locker room? So I thought that was interesting. I didn't get the answer. But yeah, I'm going to make sure that if I see him tomorrow, I'm going to ask him that question again, because I thought that was interesting, what he could bring back. But what else? Did I answer everything there for you?
Yes, you did.
All right, cool.
You mentioned leadership. John Tortorella, he says we're not going to have a captain for 15, 20 games, and it may be the whole season that we go without a captain. Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. I think the default guy was Sean Couturier, and who knows what's going to happen with Coots. He's got a back injury. Those things are serious. He had surgery, I think, before the summer. He had it last season. He played, I think, in 27, 29 games, something like that. And it's lingering, and this season, there's no reason to rush him back. Let him take his time. I think most fans want this team to lose. And if you're going to be a bottom 3, bottom 5 team, this is the draft to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
So take your time with Couturier. You know what you have there. He would be my pick for captain. He's been here the longest. He's been through everything. But at the same time, you look at the captains that Torts has had in the past, and Nick Foligno comes to mind right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a different player. Nick Foligno is the prototypical John Tortorella guy. He's going to bust his ass. He's not the most skilled guy, but he's going to bust his ass, and he's a vocal guy. Coots doesn't really. Not that Coots doesn't bust his ass, but he's one of the more skilled players where he doesn't have to bust his ass to be in the top 2, or he doesn't come off as a vocal guy in the room or on the ice kind of thing. Where Foligno, he's the captain. So I don't know who that would be. Maybe Scott Lawton. I'm okay with that though. I don't need to see a captain this year. They can wait for next year when they have more of I don't think the roster is going to be really different heading into next season, I think. So wait a little bit. What do you think?
It's tough. I guess I just got to take Tortorella's word for it, because when we talked about this in the offseason, I didn't like the idea of not having a captain. But if he doesn't think there's anyone in that locker room who's worthy of being a captain, at least right now, what do I know? I got to take his word for it.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? We keep hearing, it's a tight group of guys, tight-knit, blah, 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 but there's no leader in there. There's no clear-cut captain or a guy that should wear the C. And, yeah, it's weird because it feels like we're the Buffalo Sabres, or how they were doing that for a while.
Yeah.
But it just is the reality of the situation. Why force someone to be the captain that may not be here in another year or two? Let's get someone that's going to be the guy like Giroux was for, 8, 9, 10 years, however long.
Did you happen to hear Yandel on Spittin' Chicklets?
Mm-mm.
Said some stuff about how much all the guys loved last season. They had a great time. They had a lot of fun. Thought that was really worrisome.
How did he say it? Did he say it in a way where he was kind of like being
Excited.
sarcastic, or
No, he was like,
it was
kind
genuine?
of just talking about the last season. We may not have been good, but we had a ton of fun going to the rink every day, and we had a lot of fun off the ice, and it was worrisome.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering now, because I had a conversation with Yuri from Flyers Nitty Gritty yesterday, and he had mentioned past camps and past practices with Vigneault. And it's not that Vigneault wasn't a good coach, but the practices weren't as intense. The guys came to the rink, they knew what to expect, and they know that they're good. They were very comfortable, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. You were there, you saw. The camps weren't like they were this year. I mean, these guys are the practices are intense. You know, they're physical. They're skating a lot. The scrimmages are fun, but it's not a lot of standing around. You know, kind of just all right. We're going through this. The games are coming on Thursday and Saturday. Um, it's different. I feel like feathers are ruffled a little bit, and that's how they need to be. Guys should feel uncomfortable. You know, do I have my place here? I got to keep. So they need to keep working to keep their spot on the team. You know, if you're a second line guy, you should be working to be a first line guy. If you're a third line guy, you should be working to be a second line guy. You shouldn't be content with being a third line guy. And that's where this whole Cam York thing comes in, right? You shouldn't be content being a third pairing defenseman because Travis Sanheim, Rasmus Ristolainen are second pair guys. You should be trying to beat out Travis Sanheim to play on that second line. You know what I mean? You shouldn't come in here, especially at his age, and think that you have a spot on the team. You know, number one, you're on a two-way contract, so it's very easy to send you back and forth if that's going to happen. And based off whatever we're hearing is, California kid. He's got that attitude, like he does. You know, he deserves everything. He's here. He's in the NHL. What else is there that he's very good at offense, so it's okay if his defense isn't that great, kind of thing. And Torts is the opposite. East Coast guy. You know, he's from Boston, right? He's not going to take that kind of stuff. You know, the impression that I get is, York's a younger kid, probably never cut from anything in his life. And I'm not making this about Cam York. This is just the example. And Tortorella realizes that and goes, okay, I got to break this kid's ego. You know, I have to change his thought process. He needs to be more about the team, less about I'm doing everything I have to do. He should be thinking, what can I do to help this team? How can I get better to help this team, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting stuff. Yeah.
Former Flyer Wayne Simmons. Toronto Maple Leafs sent out an email to all the teams around the league saying, hey, he's not going to make our team, but we really don't want to send him to the minors out of respect for him and his career. Then they put him on waivers. He went unclaimed. Do you think the Flyers should have dabbled in that?
It's interesting, right? I don't know.
And they still could. They still could make a trade for him.
Yeah, sure, they could. I'm trying to see is he making league minimum here?
I believe he's got 900,000.
Okay. If they wanted to do him a solid, I guess they could do that. It's the same thing though. Like, people complained when they signed Delorier or when they re-signed McEwen. What are you doing? We got too many of these guys. And I love Simmons. Great dude. I just feel like that era of Flyers hockey maybe moved on a little bit with Voracek not being here, Giroux's not here anymore. I don't want Simmons to come in and try to make he's comfortable and he's been here before, and I don't think he's that guy. I just want to avoid that whole situation kind of thing. I don't know. What do you think? I'm curious to hear your position on that because I think mine's maybe not so popular, but I wouldn't bring him back.
If I was in GM Chuck Fletcher's spot, I would not bring him back. As a fan, I wouldn't have hated it. I wouldn't have done it. Simmons is one of my favorite players of all time. I just don't think he's an NHL player anymore.
Yeah.
I think he's been on a steep decline since 2017.
He's 34 years old. Wow.
He can't
he's
really
a year
skate
younger than
anymore.
me, and I'm over here like, wow. He's not old.
Right. It's just kind of, he lost his legs. Like, you play that hard physical style hockey for so long, your body starts to break down a little bit quicker than most guys. And that's how I see it.
Yeah.
That being said, as a fan, I think it kind of would have been cool to see him end his career in Philly because I don't think we're going to go. I don't think we're going to be very good this year. I don't know. Maybe 50 games into the season, and we're not doing too good. They trade for him and give up future considerations, and you call up Zach McEwen and you just beat the hell out of everybody. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But if I was the GM, I wouldn't have brought him back.
Nah. 16 points last year in 72 games, which, if he's a fourth line guy, it's not terrible. -7, 96 penalty minutes. So he was doing a lot of fighting and stuff like that. Year before is pretty much the same thing. 7 goals, 38 games, 45 penalty minutes. He's had a rough go since, he was let go or traded by the Flyers. Yeah, he hasn't really been productive.
He was
Since
really banged up in that
2017-18.
2017-18 season, and I don't think he ever really recovered from all that.
Yeah. Hey, if he still wants to play, I'm sure there's a team out there that can bring him aboard. I mean, he was playing in New Jersey, he played for Nashville for a bit, Buffalo, and then 2 seasons with Toronto. I mean, there's got to be a team that needs him. Just right now the Flyers don't need him. If Delorier wasn't here, maybe you think about it, but yeah, I don't know. Just wouldn't make too much sense. See, everything, it's so weird right now because you would think, all right, if they bring back Wayne Simmons, everybody would think it would be cool. But on the flip side, there's fans out there, they'd be miserable. Why are they bringing him back? We already got these 2 guys and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, just don't do anything because it's always going to be negative stuff.
I also think it's just really time to move on from that whole era of Flyers. It's just,
I agree.
Time to move on.
Yeah, none of them are here. Yeah, why bring them back?
What do you think the Flyers' biggest weakness is?
Goal scoring. I don't know how they're going to score goals this year, unless Morgan Frost gets it going. I mean, this team has wingers that can put the puck to goal or try to score. I mean, you're looking at Cam Atkinson, Joel Farabee, Travis Konechny, Owen Tippett, Wade Allison, JVR. Scotty Lawton can score a little bit. I wouldn't consider him a scoring winger, though. I mean, who did I miss? Did I miss anybody there?
I'm high on Wade Allison.
Yeah, all these guys can put the puck in the net. It's they need someone to distribute though and create. And Morgan Frost is one of those players. But we're waiting. We're waiting to see if he can do that. They have Kevin Hayes, obviously, who will probably put up his usual 40 to 50 points. Noah Cates, unproven, had a really good preseason, but regular season's a little different. You're going up against the top talent in the NHL now. Where does he play? Does he play on the second or third line? Can he play the same way against the opposition's best players? Remains to be seen. Can he help his wingers be better? I don't know. We've seen him. He's very good defensively, Noah Cates, which is this team's going to be. They need to be very good at defense because I don't think they're going to be scoring too many goals. So, yeah, where's the goal scoring going to come from? They're not very good down the middle. And, some of the wingers they have, Owen Tippett, for example, they have trouble finding the back of the net. Travis Konechny as well. They can get pucks to goal, but they have a hard time putting the puck in the back of the net. So that's my biggest weakness is where the goal is going to come from. What about you?
I completely agree. You mentioned Kevin Hayes. I hope Coots can get back quick. That way we can put Hazy back on the second line because I think he's going to have a good year. Besides Noah Cates, I thought he's been the best Flyer on the ice in camp. Didn't exactly translate the preseason. I thought he was okay. But if he's playing first line, I don't think he's going to be productive just because he's going to get outmatched by every other first line in the league. Yeah. Going to be spending a lot of time in his D zone. But if Coots can get back, move Hazy down a line, I think that could be good for him. Biggest weakness, yeah, for sure is goal scoring. I'm hoping they kind of just embrace old school, let's win 2-1 and play well around Carter Hart. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a long year to watch that kind of stuff. But, if you appreciate the game and you appreciate that kind of style of play, you might enjoy it, I mean, a shootout for this team is going to be like, a goal scoring outburst is going to be 3 goals. We were talking on our show last night and Jack had picked the 4-3 score, final score for the Devils. And I go, oh my God, a goal outburst for the Flyers, 3 goals in one game, huh? I mean,
What do you think the Flyers' biggest strength is?
Ooh, I don't think we know that yet. I think we're hearing a lot about, let's be hard to play against. We want to play physical. We want to play defensive hockey, protect Carter Hart. But I don't. I need to see it, I guess. What do I think their biggest strength is? It's going to have to be their will. Their will to compete, their will to play a full 60 minutes, because there's going to be some nights where it's ugly. Where they're getting stomped out by, the Colorado Avalanche or somebody like that. And are they going to give up? Are they going to allow themselves to lose 4, 5, 6 nothing kind of thing? Or are they going to just play to keep the score close? That's the will and determination that I want to see. They're going to make it tough on the Avalanche to win, because the Avalanche are going to win the game. But are you going to make it tough for them? Are you going to just roll over like they would last year or the year before against the Rangers, for example? Where they just give a listless effort. I want to see the will. I want to see them fight, and I'm not talking drop the gloves, but I want to see it make it. I want to see them make it tough for other teams to win. Where the teams leave and they're like, yeah, we got the win, but holy shit, like that team really made us work for it. Because that's something you can build on. That's something you can build on and take into next season when hopefully the roster is more talented. So I guess that's going to be their biggest strength. And I don't know, people might laugh at that because even if they, if they show will and fight and all that kind of stuff, they still lose. So what's it matter? Well, you're changing mindsets. You're changing the psychology of the roster and the team. It's not just you're not just here to have fun and that kind of thing. You're here to win, eventually win, and that kind of mentality will eventually translate to wins. Just maybe, you want to look to see, I guess, and this is going to sound maybe a little bit much, but it's not going to be easy. The first half of the year is not going to be easy. So I'm going to assume maybe around games like 45, 50, 55, you start to see the results a little bit. Maybe they start to win games 2-1 instead of losing 2-1 kind of thing, So I'm looking forward to the process of it all. And I would say their greatest strength, hopefully, because like I said, we haven't seen yet. It's easy for me to say, oh, it's going to be their will. Well, we have to see them prove it first. So, but what about you? That's a good question.
Riley actually said very similar. We don't really know yet, but he thinks how Torts is going to change the culture and get these guys' mindset in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. It's definitely not goal scoring.
Yeah.
I don't love the defense.
You don't like Nick Seeler on that third pair?
I can't believe he's back here. I wish kind of talking about that. I wish Zamula would have got a shot over Sealer.
Yeah.
I didn't like Adder's camp. I didn't like York's camp. I liked the beginning of Zamula's camp. I think it kind of tailed off towards the end. Maybe he was tired. That's kind of what we're hearing lately about a lot of these guys getting tired. I wish he would have got a shot over Sealer, though. I know what Nick Sealer is. Not an NHL player in my mind, but strength, I mean, I look at Carter Hart, who had a .915 save percentage 3/4 of the season before the wheels really came off for him. Guess he got hurt at the end of the year. Maybe he's playing through something, but I think if he could stay healthy and the defense plays around him and, they play that Tortorella system, I think Carter Hart could have a good year.
I hope so. That's a good one. Because you think about, how much can you take? How much losing can you take, especially as a young kid, a goalie even, before it starts to affect you mentally. You're always digging the puck out of the back of your net kind of thing. Mm-hmm. This is going on, year 3 of getting your ass whooped every other night kind of deal. I hope that they can play well in front of him to where, he can still feel good about himself after a game. So that's a good point.
Have a little fun here. Do a couple predictions. Who do you think leads the Flyers in goals and points this year?
Man, that's kind of a tough one, isn't it? I think the easy answer would be Travis Konechny, right? But I don't believe that. Atkinson's already kind of hurt before the season. there's something going on with him. Do you remember the first day of camp when they were skating? And I was
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, Atkinson doesn't look good. Like he looks like he's really laboring, like really,
Huh.
really struggling."
I
I don't
didn't
know.
notice that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but Torch said he was sent home. He wasn't sent home. He chose to go back to Ohio to see a specialist, and then he saw one back in Philadelphia. He said he's on. He's hopeful he's going to play Thursday and he's going to skate tomorrow, but we'll see. He would be my pick for goals, Atkinson. So I'll go with that. Let's assume that he's healthy and everything's fine. I'll go with Atkinson for goals and points. What if I surprised and said Tony DeAngelo leads in points?
I don't think it's a surprise at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be the power play guy, so you would figure he's got most opportunities for points. That's assuming they score on the power play, of course. But yeah, I'll just go for it because I think. Well, I'll let you answer too. I'll go with Tony DeAngelo and Cam Atkinson.
I went Konechny with both. Your
Okay.
boy.
Yeah, my boy.
I think bringing structure back into TK's game, like we had in AV's first year, is going to be good for him. In the past, he was a really good scorer off the rush, and structure kind of slipped out of the Flyers in his game, and we didn't see it as much. So I think if we have that John Tortorella structure this season, he could get back to scoring off the rush. I was also really intrigued by on exit day last year. He said he talked to Danny Briere and they looked at a lot of his metrics and they came to the realization that yes, he had more shots on goal last year than any year in his career, but they were all pretty low danger chances. I don't know why it took them the whole season to realize that, but I guess it's better late than never.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to say Joel, but I look at how Jack Eichel came back last year off of that surgery and he really wasn't himself.
Yeah.
And everybody's body's different. Maybe Joel comes back and he's even better than he was. I kind of talked about Hayes earlier. I think Hayes might have a good year. I'm not very confident in Coots having a good year for many reasons. You said Cam. I was told Wednesday that the team as a whole is a little bit more nicked up than the teams leading on.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at Cam, the guy who hasn't returned yet, as the guy they're talking about.
The guy that I picked to lead the team in goals.
I also just kind of look at how he played last year. So he got off to that hot start on the fab line, right, with Farabee and Broussard.
Mm.
And then he went into a serious rut. And then they put him with G, and he produced a little bit. G got traded, and he went into another serious rut. So I'm not sure how confident I am with Cam this season.
Yeah. Not looking good out of the gates.
Any of these young guys you think is going to break out?
I think Farabee's still a young guy, but to your point there, it took Eichel a little bit to get comfortable and really didn't look great the entire year. So Farabee's an interesting one because we're all excited that he's cleared for contact and he potentially could play opening night. I think practice is a little bit different, like you get that confidence back there in practice, but now you're out in a game and guys don't care if they light you up or if they blow you up kind of thing. So he's going to have to work out the kinks during a game too now. Is he going to be okay getting hit? Is he going to be all right in the corners kind of thing? Who do I think can break out? Tortorella had some nice things to say about Owen Tippett yesterday, which I thought was interesting because I haven't really seen, that kind of stuff from Owen. But he said he's progressively gotten better throughout camp, which is encouraging, I guess, if Torts is seeing that. He's the coach. I think we all trust that he knows what he's watching. Breakout season. I think Noah Cates would be kind of a cop-out because, he's had a great camp. And who do I think is going to have a breakout? This is tough.
Nobody is an option.
I think an easy answer would also be Farabee, but he's coming back off injury, so it's kind of tough. He's been around. Let's go Wade Allison.
That's who I'm saying as well.
Yeah, let's go Wade Allison. I think this guy is primed, man. This is a big dude. I mean, you've been around him. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's intimidating, but this is a big guy. And, if he's hitting you, I feel like it's going to hurt. kind of thing. You know, he's got like the sharp elbows, the big arms. Just hoping he can stay healthy. But I think he's got the potential to put up 40 points, you know, maybe 15 goals, 25 assists, or 20 and 20, something like that. I think he really could, you know, given the opportunity, put up 40 points this season.
I think he's got a top 6 skill set and a bottom 6 motor, which is like anything you could ever want in a player. Injuries is the biggest factor, but he kind of, it's not a perfect comparison, but he reminds me of a faster Scott Hartnell.
Yeah.
He's a lot faster than Hartsey, though, so I kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like him. He's on the ice a lot more, just like Hartsey was. You know, like Hartnell down, Wade down, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he's like a bull in a china shop, Wade Allison. And I think Torts likes the way he plays. He likes that about him. But he just wants him to. And he didn't say rein it in. He wants him to be smart about when he does that kind of stuff. He wants him to play his brand, but also somewhat within. And he didn't say it like this. Somewhat within the system. You know, choose when to do that. It's hard for me to explain because the way it was a couple weeks ago and the way he said it made a lot of sense. He wants Allison to play his game, but maybe be a little smarter about when he's going to do it. You know, because you know how he is. He's going to crash and bang. He's going to go get the puck, kind of thing. So yeah, maybe choose when to do that. He doesn't want to change the player though, which is great to hear. We've heard him say that a lot. You know, I think he mentioned.
Cam York as well.
Cam York too was. He wants him to play his game, but he wants him to, I guess, do it within the way he wants these players to be, if that makes sense.
Who do you think is the first guy who gets healthy scratched?
Oh man.
And I don't want to not Hayden Hodgson or Nick Seeler, like a bigger name, higher stature kind of guy.
I don't think it's going to be. The easy pick would be Travis Konechny, right? But I don't think it is going to be him. I don't think it is going to be Travis Konechny. You got Cam Atkinson, Kevin Hayes, Scott Lawton. I don't know. It could be Morgan Frost, but you also need centers, so that would be a stupid thing to do. What if it was Wade Allison? I feel like that would send a ripple effect, and he would come back motivated. I don't know. I'm really not sure who that would be.
I was thinking maybe Tippett.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Yeah, Tippett doesn't really have that kind of fire kind of deal, and you know, if he's not scoring goals, what is he really doing out there, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's see the cop out answer would be Konechny, because it's odds are it could be Konechny. I don't know who it could be. I really don't know. You look at the defensive pairings, you can't afford to bench any of those guys. You know, you're not benching Provorov, that's for damn sure. You're not benching D'Angelo. Sandheimer, Stalainen, that's your second pair. You can't bench any of them. Who cares if you bench Braun, Sealer, Addard, any of your fourth line guys, Hodgson, Lazinski, Delorier. I mean, who cares if you bench any of them? Love them all, but it's a tough one. I'll go toss up between TK and Allison.
Gonna go really crazy with this one. Who on the team now will not be on the team after the trade deadline?
Obviously, the easy answer there would be JVR, right? Last year of his deal, contract year for him. I'm expecting him to have a decent season, to tell you the truth. Maybe see if he was going to be here for a full year, I might pick him for my leading the team in goals candidate. I think he looks good in camp. He's moving really well. He can put the puck in the net. So yeah, JVR, and I think he could bring back a decent return. A lot of guys are like, yeah, you know, bring back a fourth or fifth, whatever. I think he could net you at least a second. So yeah, JVR is my pick there. How about you?
Yeah, definitely JVR. I'm curious about Sanheim.
Yeah.
I feel like if he wanted to come back, maybe he'd be extended by now. Um, you know me, I'm kind of in the let's blow it up thing. I mean, if you could trade Sanheim for a first round pick in next year's loaded draft, I think that's a smart move. Um, hopefully Cam York's up in a month or so,
Yeah.
and he's ready to take on Sanheim's role.
I talked to Sanheim the other day, and I asked him about playing without a long-term deal in place, or a deal in place, and he seemed frustrated about it.
Oh,
His face kind of got a little red there, and said he's never played on a long-term deal before, so he doesn't know what it's like to play on a long-term deal. And I asked him if there was extra motivation to get the deal. And without misquoting him or anything, he said obviously he wants to play well. It would be nice to play on a long-term deal, but I sensed a little bit of maybe frustration or like annoyance, and I don't know
oh.
if it was from me asking the question,
Yeah.
because it was off. I wasn't recording or anything, but he wants to play on a long-term deal, and I would imagine if the Flyers wanted him to play here long-term, that he would be signed before the season would start. So, yeah, you're right. That is an interesting situation to watch, and he had a while back he had mentioned he's perfectly fine, playing out
Yeah.
the season without a contract, which is interesting to hear from a player. Maybe he wants to explore the market, play somewhere else that wins, because he's a good player. He's perfectly fine player. But yeah, Cam York is right there, and maybe that's why Torts is getting on him now. They're trying to prepare for that situation just in case, because if they can move Sanheim for pieces and parts, for picks or whatever it is, that's exactly what you want in a team that's transitioning,
Yeah.
right? To not only get better for now, but get better in the future. You have two guys that play the same position. I think York can even do a little bit more than Sanheim, play on the power play, things like that. And yeah, I'm sure Sanheim's a great guy and he's a good player. But if you can get I don't know, a first round pick and whatever else for him, you have to do that. And hopefully by that point, York is ready to slot up a little bit. He's going to make his mistakes because I think some people will take it as, oh, he's ready to replace Sanheim now and everything that Sanheim does now. No, not necessarily. Right. He'll make his mistakes. He'll take his bumps along the way, but maybe in a year or two, that's where he'll be. The sooner the better. We keep saying year or two, but you've heard Torts say he wants it now. He needs it now. Give it to the team now. And I took it as, okay, if he's going to give it to you now, if he's going to be the guy you want now, is he going to be that on your third pair? Probably not. So if I was going to read into things like I like to do, I would say they could be getting ready for a Sanheim move kind of thing, So to your point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Who do you have making the playoffs out of the Metro, and where do the Flyers finish?
That's a good one. So I think the Flyers are going to finish in the basement for sure. Let's go. The Rangers are 1. The Hurricanes are 2. Washington 3. And you can never count out Pittsburgh. That's 4. Let's go only 4 teams from the Metro. Who do we got in the Atlantic here? We got Boston, Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto. Yeah, let's go 4 and 4. So, yeah, Penguins, Caps, Rags, and the Hurricanes. How about you?
I think I'm going 5 from the Atlantic and 3 from the Metro.
Okay.
I as well think the Flyers will finish in last. I think our division will go Hurricanes, Rangers, Pittsburgh. In the other division in the Atlantic, maybe not in order, but some Tampa, Boston, Ottawa, Florida, and I'm missing one of the major 4.
The Leafs.
The Leafs.
Ottawa's a good one. I'm going to be watching a lot of Ottawa hockey this year. They're going to be a fun team, man. I love that team.
I think they got a lot of good depth. Like everyone's talked about this great top 6 they have. I think they got good depth. I like Watson. I Think
Yeah.
Joseph might start to come into his own. Wish they had him maybe one more right-handed defenseman play higher minutes, but sucks Cam Talbot got hurt.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they don't really have much behind them. They have who do they have? Forsling or Forsberg, Anton Forsberg, and I can't remember the other guy's name now. But yeah, that does suck. He's gonna miss a month at least?
Yeah, is that what it is?
I think at least a month. I want to say I saw 4 to 6 weeks because I was going to draft him in every one of my fantasy leagues. So I always
Yeah.
wait till the last minute to draft a goalie. But yeah, Ottawa's gonna be fun, man. Debroekert. You know who no one's talking about too, because all the the flashy guys they have. Josh Norris is going to have another good year.
Uh-huh.
They're just going to be a fun team. I'll be watching them all season. When I need a break from the Flyers, I'll be watching the Senators. I never thought I'd be saying that.
That'll be me with the Leafs. That was me
Yeah.
last year with the Leafs. Who do you think wins the cup?
Oof. Let's go. So Colorado lost Kadri, right? And they really didn't replace him, I don't think.
Right, I think they're hoping Newhook takes a step.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ready for that either. I mean, good player, but Calgary, I think, is a sexy pick. Edmonton, they have a goalie in Jack Campbell. If you believe in Jack Campbell, they could have used him last year. Edmonton made it to the conference finals last year, didn't they?
They did.
They lost to Colorado. They got swept, didn't they? This is
was
tough.
it a sweep? I don't remember.
I feel like it was. I don't remember them winning the game, actually. I think Colorado just steamrolled everybody. Let's go Colorado. Yeah, I'm just going to say Colorado wins the cup because it's too tough to pick two teams. I don't see when you look through the NHL, there's a lot of parity, but there's only like 2 or 3 teams that are like legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. So I'll go safe and I'll go Colorado.
Okay, cool.
What do you think?
I think Tampa's got one more run in them.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think the Kings are a little sneaky pick this year.
Yeah, they're like the Senators of the West. They're going to be another fun team to watch.
I also think the Blues are a lot better than people are giving them credit for. For some reason, no one's talking about them, and I think they're a pretty good team.
I feel like that's every year. Last year was the same way. They had a solid team. No one was talking about them. They made the playoffs. They beat Minnesota in the first round, I think, right? If I remember correctly. Because everybody was thinking,
they actually gave Colorado a little bit. I think that went 6.
Yep. Yeah, the Blues are a tough team. Berube's got them playing well over there. Braden Shen's out there, who I loved. That's a heart and soul team. They're not gonna overskill you, but they're gonna beat you up and outwork you. And yeah, Blues are a good pick.
I really like their skill to toughness ratio. You got guys like Robert Thomas, you got guys like Jordan Kyrou and Tarasenko, but you also got your Ryan O'Reillys and your Braden Shens. I really like that team makeup.
Yep, so do I. Yep.
All right, well, Mr. High and Wide, I appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully I see you somewhat soon, but thanks for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll talk again soon. We got to hit up Angelo's. I was going to head over there after this, actually.
Oh, I can't do today, but maybe tomorrow.
All right, yeah, let me know. It's always open. So whenever you want to go, I'm down for Angelo's. The best.
James, thanks for coming on the channel this week. I really appreciate it. Viewers, if you're not already checking out Flyers High and Wide Hockey, you're missing out at some of the best coverage in the city. Last but not least, Christopher Maher.
Mr. Maher, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on again. What was the last time I was on here?
Not too long ago. We did a little off-season recap.
Yeah.
I appreciate you hopping back on.
Yeah, dude. Of course. Always good to talk to you, and obviously we talk a lot outside of this too. So yeah, it's always fun.
I want to get a couple of predictions out of you today, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I've been trying to steer away from them, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm forcing you into it. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's okay.
Who do you think out of all of the young guys will break out or have the best chance of breaking out?
Morgan Frost.
Frost.
Yeah. Well, I guess to start off, I mean, if you're looking at the younger guys, like really, majority of the team is young. Most guys aren't really over 25. Like Sinski, Allison, You have a lot of guys like that. I mean, York doesn't look like he's up here. He didn't have a great camp. He's obviously not with the team right now. He's going to be with Lehigh Valley. So Mola gets sent down with the cap-friendly league tonight of the roster has Ronnie Adder making it. So there's that too. So some young guys made it. Some young guys didn't. Some guys had good camps. Some guys didn't. I think as for Frost, I liked how he played in the preseason. Some people were probably mixed. I feel like there's always that group of fans. It's like if you don't, score 7 goals and 5 assists in the couple preseason games you play, then you're just terrible. And that's not how I look at it. I mean, from what Frost said exit day, which was, I want to work on my shot and I want to work on moving my feet. He did that. I don't think he showcased the shot as much as he probably would have liked. I think he knows he's still learning. He said that to me a handful of times. We've talked good amount of times just of, what he's done and what he's liked of his game and a couple things he thinks he can do better at. I asked him on Sunday about face-offs, and he said that was kind of a little thing he worked on in the offseason. He didn't really hint at that much, so that was the first I had heard it. He went 60% on face-offs. He took 73, won 44 of them.
Right.
So that's obviously a good sign, and I know that they're starting with Noah Cates at center. That's what it seems like right now. So I think it's encouraging that you have a guy who can play center but also play wing. It looks like Frost is going to be the 3, so I think that's good. I think he's been engaged in moving his feet. I think he's been noticeable in all 3 zones. Not perfect, but I think good enough. I mean, what else? Out of all things that we could, talk bad about and nitpick, I guess. Frost isn't something that I've done. I think a lot of people put him under the microscope sometimes, and I think I'm part of that. I mean, I try to not, I guess you could say, pay attention to him, but I do notice him sometimes more than others. So yeah, for me, he's a guy that I think can definitely break out, and not even really break out. It's just kind of show us what we're kind of told. It's not like I just say that stuff just because, like, that's genuinely what the guy does. I mean, he has the tools. I've said this for a long time. And, if he puts up 35, 40 points, 10 goals, 25 assists, 10 goals, 30 assists, 35 assists, 15 goals, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, if he's producing, looks like he's going to be playing second in a power play, played some PK too. So we'll see what happens. I know it's a long answer, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Frost because we just had Debo on before this, and he used to be like the biggest Morgan Frost fan I ever met.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about him a little bit. He's fallen down Debo's totem pole. I didn't love Frost camp. I didn't hate it. I was encouraged by his play in the D zone, which is something, he's not known for. That was kind of maybe not his biggest knack, but like that was a big criticism on him.
Yeah.
I thought he played well in the D zone. I was pleasantly surprised about that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I thought again, moving his feet, right? That's what I noticed. I mean, it's not like, especially in the Buffalo game, the first road game, on the goal, or I think it was either the goal or one of the first chances of the game for Konechny when he was flying up the wing. Frost had the poke check on the wall to bring it to him. He had a couple good plays getting it back and forth, and him and JVR have chemistry. Like, I've noticed that as the years going on, and everybody's like, oh, well, you're putting them with 2 kind of stationary guys, or guys, I guess you could say, that, well, not me in general, but other people have said that, don't really like have that kind of skill when he's with JVR and Allison. I'm like, first of all, JVR is great for him to play with, because JVR is, whether, people say JVR is this, JVR that, I have always noticed JVR to have better chemistry with the younger players. And a guy like Frost, as dynamic as he is with the puck and the way he has the skill, I think that kind of helps him playing with a guy like Allison too, who can bang, obviously can throw the body. I like that for now. Again, things will probably change, and I think all of us are probably prepared for an injury to come. But again, I mean, kind of going back to what you were saying too. I know I went a little off topic, but again, defensive zone play. It wasn't even just, it it wasn't even just like, like the stick check here, things like that. It was just in general defensively. I mean, even on the penalty kill, had a couple good takeaways. He had a block shot. The penalty kill in general, as a team and as a unit, has been good, just clogging the middle. And I thought Frost really helped in that when he was on it. So we'll see. And again, people forget that this guy was out for a full season with a shoulder surgery, and that's not easy to do. And he was not at the right weight and all that different stuff either. And he, I feel like he looks like he kind of bulked up a little bit. I'm not sure if he did in general, but he looks, thicker. In La Perriere said that too. It's when I asked him about that a couple weeks ago, and he said he's gotten thicker. So again, I know it's a long answer, but I have a lot of different opinions about him because he's a guy that needs to have a good year. I mean, he's a 1 year deal, 800,000. If he doesn't, he's most likely going. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of unfortunate thing about the whole thing is, he's out of the last handful of years. You guys like Patrick and all that stuff. Frost is the guy that everybody wants to succeed, I guess you could say, or at least want to see that edge to him that what's been, I guess, being told.
Who do you think leads the Flyers in goals this year, and who do you think leads the team in points?
Oof. Oh, God, you're killing me. Goals? Anisimov. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna go Konechny.
Okay.
Do I have to give a number?
Nah.
No. Okay. And points? I'll go Tony D.
Okay.
I like Tony D getting points. I think they have a better power play.
That's funny. Ben actually, Debo said very similar. I think I'm gonna go Konechny for both.
That works too.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I think he's going to have a bounce-back season.
I think he's poised for it, dude.
Who do you think makes the playoffs out of the Metro?
Assuming that if the Metro has 5 and the Atlantic has 3, but the Atlantic is tough too because a lot of teams got better. If the Metro has 4, I think the Rangers win the division. Okay. I think I'd have to go Rangers, Carolina. I'm gonna throw a surprise. I'm gonna go Columbus at 3.
Okay.
I know that's probably a surprise, but I think they got better. I think they lack center depth, but
big time.
I like Jake, and I still think he's a good player. And Laine, obviously Goudreau. They have some pretty good players over there and underrated guys. I think Merce Leakins is a really good goaltender when he's on, and I think they have an extra step to kind of take. So I think them at 3, just for shits and giggles, and probably 4. I think Washington will be a good team too. They get Strome, they get Connor Brown. Kemper obviously fills that void that they didn't really have since Holtby left in a starting goalie. As for 5, I don't think New Jersey's there yet. I think I'd probably have to go Pitt at that point. Now, if it's 4, I'd probably keep the same 4. But if it's 5 and the Atlantic doesn't stay, then probably Pitt as the 5 spot.
I think the Atlantic might actually get 5, and the Metro only 3.
I was thinking that too, because I was thinking about that tonight before we started this. Like, could the Atlantic actually have more teams? Because there's really no bad team in the Atlantic anymore. I mean, well, I guess you'd say Montreal, but outside of that, I mean, Ottawa got better. Buffalo has found an identity. Detroit, I think the Red Wings make the playoffs. Obviously Florida, Tampa Bay, obviously Boston still, kicking the can, all that stuff. Boston's very similar to Pittsburgh, in my opinion, because it's like you have the older kind of guys and they're dealing with injury. Both teams are kind of dealing with injury a little bit. And Pittsburgh not as much as last year for right now, that is, but Boston doesn't have Marchand to January, I think.
I think they're saying December for him and McAvoy.
Right. And, you get Lindholm for Boston, and I like that because the McAvoy-Lindholm pairing is probably one of the more underrated pairings in the league. Outside of, like, Linder and Fox, like, the Slave and D'Angelo from last year. Like, there's a handful of others, and Boston's was just incredible.
Mhm.
And I also do like Linus Ullmark for the Bruins. I think he's a good goalie. I think it's I think obviously last year he had a career year because playing on Buffalo for so long. But he's another guy, and I took him in fantasy in our league, and you gave me shit for that. But outside of that, again, I mean, it's tough because it's the East is so. And one thing I will say, I know this is long, I think there's a lot of skill just in general in really the whole league. Like, obviously that's such like an easy statement, but I feel like this year you're really going to see like younger guys and guys take steps forward, and I think a lot of young guys are getting paid too, which is kind of a bonus too.
Yeah, I agree. I said earlier, I think Swayman might be a dark horse for the Vezina.
Ooh, the Vezina.
Yeah,
I
just
actually
because they're
saw something
missing they're missing so many of their guys, and then I think they're going to be able to hang in it the first half of the year, and then go on a run in the second half. I think that bodes well for him.
I got two things on that. Do you see Knight as a Vezina candidate then if Swayman's up there, or no?
Knight's interesting because I think Bob's going to take a step back.
Yeah, because
I think that
think
whole
by the
team's
end of
going to
the
end up taking a step back.
I don't think they're as good as D as they were. The forward, they
Exactly.
pretty much just add. They just added. They subtraction by addition. But defensively, I like Gudis. I like Forsling. I know you love Gudis. Obviously Ekblad, and I actually really like Gustav Forsling. I think he's a pretty good puck moving defenseman, and Montour is good too. But I feel like they're going to take a step back in that area. Obviously Barkov and Kachuk and all them guys, like they added Mason Marchment, who's at least 25 goals. I mean, with a team that good and that much talent, I was a little shocked Giroux didn't resign there, but it doesn't surprise me that he went to Ottawa.
I thought Marchment left.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
He went
Marchment's
to
Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry. It's late.
Hey, no, you're not lying.
Again, I mean, just in general, and if you're looking at younger players and certain guys that are probably looking for, I think Florida's, and actually Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick were talking about them on the latest 32 Thoughts, and they were kind of saying like it's similar to Tampa, and I 100% agree with them that it's similar to Tampa with the hitting in like later round picks, because they have those guys now. Like they have like the Barkov, the Kachuk, like they have all them guys you can build around. They have Spencer Knight, and obviously there's more guys I'm not mentioning, but that's where you want to hit in the later rounds to where you can kind of build out your whole team. And I think Florida has the steps to kind of do that. It's just, I think it's a different era for them too. Like they're going off of last season. I don't know if they'll be as good. It's tough because again, that division is, it really did got better, really the whole East, but still, we'll see.
Yeah, I think they still make the playoffs, but I do think they take a step back. So you didn't mention the Flyers in your little division making the playoffs. Where do you think they finish?
I really don't have an answer for you because it's easier for me to predict the other teams because I have an idea of where they're going. Like, I don't know where the Flyers are going. And when I say that, I don't mean like, are they rebuilding or are they retooling? That whole conversation. My thing is, we don't know many different things, and I've talked about this from literally from July 13th on. All the things that this team is counting on to go right, from younger guys like we talked about earlier with Frost, from Sandstrom to even being the backup, or even Sam Urson at this point, because Sandstrom is coming off of an injury practicing, but he's starting on the injured reserve for the season. From that, the power play, the penalty kill, just everything internally changing. Like, I have no idea, because is this a season for the Flyers again whereby Thanksgiving this team's out, or is it we're gonna give every kind of fighting chance until like March and then we're done? Like it, you know what I mean? Because we don't really know. Do certain guys take a step like we hope? Yeah, I mean the hope for me is even if they lose, they're competitive, and at least one or two young guys take a step. Like if Noah Cates takes a step, puts up 40 points and solidifies himself as a legit everyday NHLer. I think he already has, to an extent, but I think there's another level he can get in Frost. Like if those two, obviously Tippett and York and stuff, but all the younger guys are staying in Lehigh Valley. Zamula's down there. You have York. I don't agree with the whole mixed signal thing with York because there's going to be two different ways that he's going to be coached anyway, and I'm not saying that because of system. I'm saying that because of a certain coach is going to say, "Oh, well, I want you to do this at the NHL level," and he's going to say, "Oh, you can do this." It's not too far off. If you really read between the lines of what was said between Torts and Lappy, it's really not that much of a change. So again, that's kind of where I am with the Flyers. It's like, how much can you expect from this player, and can you get better internally? I mean, realistically, the only thing I'm looking for is improvement and not just like winning in every other area, even if they still lose the game. I'd rather them lose a tight game 3-2, maybe late in third where they need a goal, we can't get it, than games last year losing 9-2, 9-0 the year before. Like just out of the game by the second period. It's like it's not fun to watch. I mean, obviously we watched it live together. It wasn't fun.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm mixed because I don't really have a prediction either, because the last 2 years I'm like, oh well, in the bubble year I'm like, okay, well, or the COVID year, sorry. I was like, all right, they should be able to, kind of. I was like, they might be a cup contender. Like, and then the year after, it was like, okay, we did all these moves. I think they're a playoff team, and every year I was wrong. So I was like, screw it, I'm not doing it anymore. So it's kind of where I'm at.
Who wins the cup this year?
Oof. The Red Wings.
Wow. Okay, that's bold. I like that.
Yeah, dude, I like the Red Wings. Like, well, first of all, I've always liked Detroit, so maybe it's a little biased, but I loved Datsuk growing up. So I've always been a huge Red Wings fan, and my dad is too. I think they've I don't know why, but I feel like they've always had really nice jerseys. Like, I don't know why that attracts me to the Red Wings, but even just on the hockey side of things too. You had guys like Perron, you had Sherratt, you had Kupalik, you had Ville Husso, who can solidify himself as a legit starter this year because he was kind of in that Binnington shadow in St. Louis. Again, I Steve Yzerman is a genius. Like, you add Moritz Seider, you have Raymond, you have Larkin. You already had a mix of guys. Obviously, Tyler Bertuzzi, Phillips Adina can still be a good player. So, I look at them as definitely a playoff contender. I mean, I don't think it's the year anymore for the Red Wings of by Christmas they're out. Like, I think they're legitimately going to be contending, and I don't know for a cup. That was kind of like a really ballsy move, but
you're on the record now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so when the Red Wings are like in 7th place in like December, people are in between at me. No, again, I mean, I really liked a lot of what they did in the offseason. I think a good amount of the moves they made can solidify, I guess you could say, the holes that they were missing.
Cool, right on. I think that's all I got for you. To the viewers, Chris was on recently. If you didn't watch that, I'll flash it up in the top right-hand corner. A lot of what I talked about with my other guests, he had his own episode and we talked about. So go watch that. Chris, where can the viewers follow you at?
So I'm on YouTube. It's my name, Christopher Maher, as it's on the screen here. And then I go live on Fridays from 3 to 4 on FFM 93 Live. And that is a call-in show. If you want to call in or do anything like that, it's 267-939-1216 is the number for that. And yeah, I'm on Twitter as _ or at _ Chris Maher. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again. Stay tuned because me and Chris are going to be doing some gaming content in the near future. So be on the lookout for that.
For you, the viewers, thanks for checking me out. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you're not already. Hope you enjoyed this. Let's go Flyers.